It's courtesy, of course, of our friends at Fox. That's how it sounded last night. The final out as the Orioles were summarily dismissed from the Major League Baseball playoffs, being swept without really bothering to compete in 2 out of 3 games. Just what it is, man. Just what it is. It's a bummer. Like, let's not, mix words. It sucks. Today sucks. And we can do all of the, hey, it was a great season and we didn't expect it. And all those things are true. Like, we're not making them up. It doesn't change how we feel today. And it doesn't change how disappointing it was that they just fell so flat on their faces. Good morning, it's Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn, he's Griffin. Drew's not here, and that maybe is for the best. If he just didn't show up at all, I think we'd be all right. Today's show is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Drew will be here, we think, and if he's not, we'll move right along, and there'll be no concern, no sweat off my ass. Later on in the program, Mike Bordick will join us to put some finishing touches on the season, and we'll start shifting focus. Just the awkward way this works out, that today we got to catch up with a couple of folks before they leave for London, as normally we try to preview the opponent on Friday, but Derek Mason is going to join us today because he's headed to London. Of course, former Ravens wide receiver. He does radio again down in Nashville. He's going to London for the game. And our friend, former Ravens long snapper, current Tennessee Titan, Morgan Cox, one of my favorites. Always love Morgan. It'll be good to catch up with him. We'll do that this morning before they head to London as well. So, it's what it is. It's what it is. I don't have a big takeaway from last night. We could sit here and say, well, this is if you want me to do the bit, this is proof they should have started Kyle Gibson. They scored 1 run. The hell difference was it going to make? Yesterday we had Carl Ravage on, and I said, I don't think that what's happened so far is the nature of a team not being ready. I think it's just the nature of baseball, and sometimes this happens, right? Like, sometimes it doesn't really matter if you're the better team in the world. I don't think the Diamondbacks are definitely a better team than the Dodgers, but look at how that's going. I think we have definitively learned that the Rangers were a better team than the Orioles. I know that's a difficult thing to say because you're going to point out that the Orioles won 101 games. But I think, and I was chatting about this with a couple of folks last night, I think that we were reminded that going into the season, we genuinely believe the Rangers to be a World Series contender. And it's more kind of goofy how their year played out. The anomaly isn't, to me, what they're doing right now. The anomaly is that they had the regular season that they had. The lineup is loaded. Loaded. And we were reminded that throughout the course of this series. And again, if it was just this series, we would say it's an anomaly, but they did the same thing to the Rays. The lineup is bonkers. And if they can get just enough starting pitching, and the Nathan Eovaldi thing is, I don't know how to explain it. You think Stan was perplexed talking about it last Friday? I think the country is perplexed talking about it. But boy, if there's one guy that shows up in the playoffs,
it's Playoff Nate.
Playoff Nate, man. That guy shows up, and he shoves. I don't know if they'll have enough pitching, right? Like, I don't know.
Coming back. I mean,
that's true. That's a good point. Maybe they. Oh God, I actually forgotten about
they're
that.
Getting better.
That's the funny part. Jesus.
He was going nuts.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame him. He gets to be a part of it. Yeah. But I think the Rangers, roster-wise, are definitively better than the Orioles were. which doesn't take anything away from what the Orioles did this season, but I keep coming back to it. I almost got into a fight with Rita on the postgame show on Sunday because Rita, for whatever reason, is still like a Brandon Hyde truther, and I just don't get it. I haven't understood it at all. And I think it's an old school thing about Rita where she doesn't like tinkering. She doesn't like there are people. Remember the conversation, the fight that we got into with the guy the other day who was like, Jorge Mateo's got to be in the lineup. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because
that would have helped.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be worse. Because I have accepted that, like, data is real. And you don't spit in the face of data in favor of, yeah, but he had a good game the other day. No, not everybody agrees with that. And I can't prove that Jorge Mateo would have sucked last night. But the numbers that he had this season against right-handed pitching suggest he probably would have sucked last night.
His two of his, what do you have, 6 home runs on the year? He hit those two. He had 2 of them in that first series in Texas.
Well,
so
you know what?
Maybe he would have
been
reminded of.
But this is the way that it works. Some people just feel that way. Rita, in the conversation that we had on Sunday, we've talked about it a few times during the year. Rita doesn't like tinkering from a manager. She just have a lineup, have regular players. And we talked about this with Jeremy on Monday. We talked about it with Steve Johnson. I'd like to hope that at some point in the future, the Orioles have a roster that's so loaded that maybe they have more players in the lineup that can hit both righties and lefties. They have more guys that you trust to play every day, no matter who's pitching. More Gunnar Henderson types. At the moment, they don't. There's no way around that. They don't really have a roster of those guys. Which is why, to me, the story of the 2023 Orioles, I do my regular hits down in Kansas City, and I did one last Friday ahead of the series with my buddy Seren down on WHB in Kansas City. And, like, I remember him asking something like, well, can they do this? And I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, I have no idea because I think it's preposterous that they won 101 games this season. I kept trying to find nice ways to say it because I didn't want to detract from what was happening. They did win all of these games. But how? Because what were they particularly good at?
Winning.
That's the thing. Were they a particularly good power hitting team?
Sometimes.
Were they particularly good? Did they have hitters throughout the lineup that were hitting 300?
No.
None.
Yeah. Well, O'Hearn was
for a while, and then he fell off, and he didn't hit 300 because he crapped the bed at the end of the season. Did they have the best starting pitching in baseball history? Or in this?
Sometimes.
They didn't do anything. The one thing they did particularly well is they had Felix Bautista at the back end of the bullpen, and then they lost that. They didn't do anything as a team that could carry them. They just figured out ways to win, and we couldn't define that, and we kept praising them and saying they're scrappy and they're, don't put his camera on until he gets that smirk off his face. Until that smirk comes off his face. Do not. Let me finish this, and then we can do whatever shtick he wants to do. I got a no shtick rule around here the other day. I had to go after Griffin the other day. I'm not doing shtick right now. No. I'm going to finish my thing, and then I'll let you talk. All right? This is the way it's going to go. Stop. We didn't turn your mic on yet. Save your shtick. What I'm saying is I can't really be all that stunned because I was more stunned that they won 101 games. It's insane that this team did that. It's nuts. Doesn't make it any less disappointing. They were there. We were having fun. Kind of would have liked to have seen the fun continue. I had tickets for Sunday and Monday night. I wanted to be there. My father and I were going to go to an ALCS game together. That was going to be special. I'm bummed. There's no way around that. I'm bummed. I don't know that they're going to be able to easily win the division or get the top seed in the American League moving forward. For as many times as we can say, hey, the future's bright, I keep trying to say this. You have no idea how the next few years are going to play out. And we'll get into the conversations about what happens next because we're going to have to sit down and talk about whether or not we actually believe that this organization is going to spend some money to fortify all of this. And if you had asked me today, no, I don't believe that. So it all kind of runs together. It all dumps in together at once. I'm not stunned necessarily. I mean, by how non-competitive they were the last two games, it's a little stunning. But, again, it's more stunning that this team managed to win 101 games. It's bonkers. Bonkers. A lot of fun we had this summer. All right, now, let's get to him and whatever shtick he's got prepared. Drew Forrester is here for better or for worse. Drew'sMorningDish.com. How'd the Ryder Cup go, by the way? How was that? About as competitive as the Orioles against the Rangers. That was
the bizarre thing about the Ryder Cup was with an hour left, we almost had a chance to win.
Yeah.
That's the bizarre part. If Spieth and Fowler.
Right.
Anyway.
I regret it. I regret it.
Anyway, right.
I was doing my shtick.
Look, I don't even know what to say about last night. Here's the deal. The things they needed to do to win the series, I was pretty confident they were going to be able to do. They didn't do any of them, right? They had the two, if you go back and look at the data, they had two of the best 5 pitchers in the entire American League over the second half of the season, pitching in games 1 and games 2. Neither of those guys were very good. Bradish was okay. I actually thought he took him out too early, but he wasn't great. Rodriguez was terrible. And
you know the funny thing about Bradish is like, to say he wasn't great, you're probably right, but he still struck out 10 guys.
Right. I'm saying he wasn't. He wasn't. But he.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying.
They had the pitching that they wanted. I think last night, obviously, the only guy Means would have started last night if he'd have been healthy. He didn't start.
Right.
Kramer didn't have it. But everything they needed to be able what they needed to do, and you saw it a little bit at the end of game 2. The Orioles needed to be in the game and get to the Texas bullpen. That was another formula, right? That's a recipe for them to win.
Yep.
They needed, even if it's 2-2 or 4-3, they needed to be in the game in the 7th inning and have exhausted, Eovaldi.
Force a Roldis Chapman into a game when it matters.
He's terrible, by the way.
Awful.
He is
he's awful.
terrible. So, but there it is, right? Like that the things they needed to do, they just didn't do. And Texas is obviously very, very good. I think we all, because it's such a long season and you forget about April and May and June, they were the best team in the American League until Labor Day. And then they collapsed.
Correct.
They're very good. I mean, their offense is incredibly good.
They hit and they hit.
Right. And the first 2 games
And
definitely.
if Eovaldi's going to pitch like this, and Montgomery, correct.
Right. So,
and they get Scherzer.
Look, there's some things you can kind of bemoan a little bit about. We didn't get the big hit when we needed to get the big hit. There's no doubt when Santander came up and he grounded in a double play. By the way, that kid made a hell of a play, speaking of defense. When we needed the big hit, other than what Hicks did in that one game, but it was over by then. When we needed a big hit, I wrote about this morning. Like last night, I know we lost 7-1, and it looks like we were never in the game. Santander gets on in the first inning. If we just hit a 2-run home run there, now all of a sudden, hey, we scored 8 the other night. We just scored 2 here in the first inning. Hey, we're rolling. We're coming, man. Hey, like we never did anything. We never got a big hit when we needed it. We just didn't.
I feel like the other thing, if I was to lament something, I would lament, and it started at some point.
And
in the regular.
Harbaugh's terrible too.
Thank you. All right, we'll get to that. It started at some point in the regular season.
He's got to
and
go.
Thank you. And we talked about it then. What else do you have?
Any chance to get
through?
Any chance to do a fire Harbaugh thing, right?
Yeah, is that what we're gonna?
No,
do?
that's what the community's doing.
Oh, 100% they're doing
right.
that. So at some point during the season, the thing that gave us so much joy at the beginning of the year, watching them work counts, watching them harass starting pitchers and make their lives miserable, completely disappeared. At some point, this team started hacking. And I don't know exactly what the date was. We had a stat about it at one point because I had either Griffin or whoever our intern was this summer look it up. But at some point during the season, the team that was making their bones and came up through the minor leagues being the team that was seeing pitches and working walks, all of those things completely changed. And the strategy at the time was, well, now they're getting first pitch strikes, so they should be attacking those first pitch strikes because everybody knows what their reputation was. But it was panicked. I mean, it was
in this series,
bad.
Right.
Bad.
But in this series, not discounting what you're saying about the seasonal ebbs and flows, in this series, the whole thing changed when that kid hit that grand slam.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but
that was it. It was 5-2. We're still in it. We got a lot of baseball left. When he hit the grand slam, the entire series changed.
I would really say the series completely changed the moment that he put Brian Baker into the game. And
I'm not here to look. Elias did an awesome job. I assume, this is what I assume about Brian Baker. Let me say this. I have zero idea why they would have ever put him on the roster. None. He's terrible. Now, that said, I have to assume it was totally data-driven. They had to have something somewhere that showed he was really, really good against either those hitters in particular or hitters of their ilk, meaning anybody whose FPBAC is less than 400. There had to be something in their arsenal of data that suggested he was a better gamble or better option.
But if that were the case, then
Bauman,
then he would have been on the team.
I know. I don't understand it. And I think I know everybody in town, I know we're all about hard questions. Like, that would definitely be a hard question that deserves an answer to the baseball nerds in town. Not to the. I mean, I paid $1,000 for tickets that I'm getting back, but I paid $1,000 like
at some point.
Yeah, right.
At some point, we'll get our money back.
I'm not saying I deserve an answer, but I'm a baseball nerd. I love the team for my whole life. Like, somebody's got to explain how he was the guy, and it wasn't Bauman or Vespi or Cole Irvin, who in a pinch could have even started a game for you for 3 innings. Like, how did Brian Baker get on the roster? And was it as simple as it just came down to Fuji and him? And they felt like maybe the league has seen enough of Fuji and the league hadn't seen enough of Baker. I don't know. But that was a real puzzle. Of all the things they did, man, that one was the oddest of them all. Because that kid is not very good.
I'm going to follow up on something else that you said, though, which is I think that we have to have a Mike Elias conversation.
I'm breaking out and I was just talking about baseball in October.
Yeah, it's nice.
Feels good.
It's been nice until this week.
Shut up.
Nice.
You're going to be one of those people. Just be happy it happened. And we're going to the World Series next year.
Yeah, okay, all right. Ease up on that. Because that gets into the conversation that I want to have. I do think that Mike Elias is deserving of praise, but at the same time, the thing that I kept saying to everyone during this process, I think Mike Elias is a good general manager, but I have no idea if Mike Elias is capable of going from tanking to winning. We have no clue if he's capable of doing that.
We just did it 2 years in a row.
We can say now, well, look, they proved it. They won the division. I'm talking about making the steps that are necessary as a general manager, particularly in this context, in a place where you're not going to be handed an open checkbook. You have to make deft moves. Well, what were the moves that were made once the team started winning a year ago to try to upgrade moving forward? Kyle Gibson was a failure. Jack Flaherty was an ungodly failure.
You think Kyle Gibson was a failure?
How do we even debate that? Kyle Gibson was a failure on every level.
Yikes. Okay.
Did you look at his numbers?
I just think that's a strong term. You and I do this all the time. We always argue over semantics.
What word do you want to use?
I think that's...
What did you think Kyle Gibson was supposed to be? Because at worst, he should have been an innings eater, and he wasn't even that. Like, what?
We could have kept that other dude we got rid of who was terrible, too. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you could. Yeah, Jordan Lyles.
He went 1 of 28.
Who stunk, but did eat innings.
He had to. Because when they put him out there, they always said...
Kept coming back to the dugout.
We're not coming back.
He
kept coming back going, Skip, is there any way at all you can pull me from this game?
Like,
nope. Just go back.
Go right back out there,
Skip,
guy.
it's 12-2. I know.
Right
just go back out. Anyway, I don't think Kyle Gibson was a failure, but
that
but the
was
other
the
kid-
only
but
pitcher.
the
You,
other
wait,
kid
wait,
was.
wait.
The other
You're
kid
trying
was.
to parse words on the Kyle Gibson thing. He pitched to a 4.7 ERA and a 1.3 WHIP.
Okay, I just don't consider that to be a failure.
How could you not? That was the pitcher you got. If that's the guy that came up through the system that you have to give a shot to before you make a decision about it, then
Who else would
I
they
get
have
it.
gotten in the offseason? Just going back.
Nathan Eovaldi.
Yeah.
No, and the other kid too that went to It's so funny because I'm almost never right when it comes to free agents, but last February I kept saying they should get Eovaldi.
You weren't the only one. There were a lot of people that had that opinion.
I mean,
about Eovaldi.
and who went to San Diego? Didn't somebody go to San Diego? Oh, Waka.
Yeah.
He was the same. I was the same with him. I'm like, go get one of those two guys. So, but I still don't think failure is the right word. Flaherty was a failure.
Well, Flaherty's an unmitigated. There's two different
that
things.
was a bad one.
Flaherty is as bad of a move as
That
you
was-
could have ever possibly made.
That was a bad one. He had a
But-
good first start.
Yeah, he did. He had a good first start. You're right about that.
But after that.
But you're trying to
So therein
give a
lies
pass
the rub
on
about last
Gibson.
night. Okay, but we're not going to agree on Gibson, so let's move on to something else. But last night was where Flaherty should have
So
started.
confused.
Last night is where Flaherty should have started.
Yes, in a perfect world, you
Yeah.
acquired a pitcher, and frankly, at the perfect world, really,
And, he would have started game two.
right? That's the
Right.
bigger issue.
He would have started game two.
Now, maybe they would have always started Grayson at home. Maybe that was if we're going to start him in the playoffs, we'd rather it be at home than be on the road. So maybe there wouldn't have been an opening for a game 2 starter because they would have always been inclined to say if we're pitching Grayson, we're pitching him at home. But you kind of would have liked to have not put all of the pressure on a guy who was 80 innings past his career high in Grayson Rodriguez at this point.
Wasn't Aaron Nola free next year?
He is.
Is
He
he
is
free?
among the. There's a ton of pitching
I
free
mean,
agents.
I know there's always a gamble anytime you go National League, American League. It doesn't always seem to work out very well. But I would say he'd be a prime. I saw the other names.
Well, Snell's on the list.
Okay. He was good in the
but he's
American
going to be
League.
the most. He's going to be the
Yeah,
highest.
he's going to the Yankees. I mean, let's be
or
honest.
or whoever it is that has the
Kershaw.
interest in spending the most
no,
money.
no thanks.
Eduardo Rodriguez is on the list.
Okay. I mean, the Tigers already overpaid him once. He's already been there 4 years, huh?
Yeah.
That's
Is
crazy.
it 4 or is
Yeah.
it 5?
Well, I thought he signed a 4-year deal. But anyway, I would take him.
Jordan Montgomery's on the list.
Could have had him at the deadline.
Could have
I would
had
take-
him at the
I
deadline.
would take him too. But I think of all.
But this goes back to it's
They'll
easy.
get one of those guys.
Yeah, sure they will. It's easy to feel comfort
What are
today.
those guys going to get? $30 million a year?
mean-
no, I'm asking. What are they? Because that determines if the Orioles
They could be
take
in the market for Giolito, maybe.
Nola's market value is at 24 according to Spot Track. So
I mean, you
Which-
got to pay him what you got to pay him. We're giving the quarterback $50 million. He can't hold on to the ball. So,
Doing
and then
Give it-
Giolito's at 11. Yeah. So.
11. He
that's-
should be at 3.
That's where I think that the highest end of
Yeah,
where they're
he's coming to
swimming.
Baltimore.
At
He's
most.
starting opening day.
Oh, I don't know that they're going to be able to get Giolito.
Right.
Look, we can comfort ourselves with the.
You know what Andrews is going to say? How's 11 million? How's 88 million for 14 years now?
Right, and we'll pay it to you in 21, 24.
When we go to Nashville, we'll give you the rest of it.
Oh, easy over there. Would you stop it? Just stop it. We're doing a lot of bad shtick today.
Nah, we're not going to Nashville. There is going to be a team in Nashville, but it's not going to be us.
You say that, except for the fact that if the Rays aren't going to move either, who's the team going to be?
They're going to. Here's my. You want to know honestly my
Oh
official
no,
prediction?
I really don't want to
No,
do this.
This is my official prediction.
Go for it.
I think that they're going to sell the team.
Who?
The Angelos
Well,
family's
they
going to sell
might,
the team,
yeah.
and they're going to get an expansion team in Nashville.
No. Are you out of your
No, not
mind?
the Angeloses. There's going to be an expansion team in Nashville.
Okay, well that's a different conversation. Those are two. You just tied those two things
I didn't
together.
mean it to sound like that.
Like what the
They're going to
hell?
sell the team. They're gone.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, they're gone.
Maybe. I have no idea, but I'm not sure what that has to do with an expansion team going to Nashville.
Because
it was the weirdest.
They are going to go.
Drew.
There is going to be a team in Nashville.
Maybe. I think that
Nice
they all.
jacket, by the way. After they got their asses kicked.
They're well on their way to the ReliaQuest Car Care Bowl.
To the Weed Eater
geez,
Bowl.
Settle down over there. You keep saying that, but baseball needs there to be cities that don't have teams, so that when they need to
Chicago's
demand.
only got one.
Thank you. When they need to demand $600 million,
LA's only got
settle.
one.
When they need to demand $600 million out of another city, they have to know Well, we can always move him to
Why
Nashville.
don't we get Ohtani?
What are you doing today?
He's a pitcher.
Couldn't you come in here and have a
He's
conversation?
a pitcher.
Couldn't we come and have a conversation?
I'm over the moon with the season we had.
There are two separate thoughts for
So
me.
excited.
This season was incredible. What a summer we had. It was unbelievable.
Right.
But on the flip side, the thing that we're trying to do to comfort ourselves where we say, and the future is it's only going up from here.
Have you seen the players we have?
All well and good. I'm very excited about the core of players they have. Now tell me how they're fortifying it. Tell me how they're taking a young core of players and turning it into something that can win a World Series.
I don't think there's. Could they use another pitcher? Sure.
I'll even give if you want to say you feel good about 1, 2, 3 going into next year and some combination.
I feel good about the whole team going into next year.
Yeah,
I do.
I feel good about them competing. I feel good about them being a good team. I don't feel like this team is close enough to be able to beat the best teams in baseball in the playoffs.
All right.
Tell me what they did that was so good. Tell me how good they were this year. They won a bunch of games. What did they
didn't win
do?
a bunch of games.
I understand
They
that.
won more than any other team in the American League over 6 months.
I understand all of that's true.
They beat everyone's brains in.
I understand all of that. Now tell me about what it is they do that is so good that it is definitely replicable next year.
Because they have baseball players who are I don't even know how you want to rank. I don't think Gunnar Henderson's scrappy. I think Gunnar Henderson's going to be the best player we've had in 40 years here.
He might very well be. That's possible.
Here's the one thing I would say, and I don't know what they're doing with Holiday, and I have no idea what Holiday is going to become as a major league player, other than to say at every level of baseball he's played, he's been a rock star. And just like Gunnar, at every level. I'm not a huge Mountcastle fan, but I understand his role, and if you want to do 100 games Mountcastle, 60 games O'Hearn, I'm fine with that. They're good at first base. Is there some way for them to upgrade there? Maybe. Is it likely that O'Hearn bounces back with the same kind of season next year he had this year? History would tell you no. History would tell you O'Hearn's not going to do that again next year. This was an anomaly.
Well,
but I'm willing to give him,
or he's going to be a hell of a platoon player.
Right. I'm willing. I'm just going to say I'm willing to give him a role of some sort, and see if in some way, even if it's not exactly duplicated, to see if he can still do what he did this year. I just don't think you're ever going to get this kind of season from him again. I think it's an outlier, but I don't think he's a bad baseball player. And if you want to go Mountcastle O'Hearn at first base, I'm fine with that. I am perfectly fine with Westberg at second base. I am perfectly fine with whatever they decide to do at shortstop and third base.
Well, we know who the guys are going to be. We just don't know who's playing where.
Right.
Yes.
And if you want to keep one of those other two, Urias or Mateo, as the utility guy who can move around and play different spots and contribute on Sunday afternoons with his bat, fair enough. They both have warts, and they both have things they do well, although Mateo's best thing he did well turned out to almost be a liability because he was a great fielder who suddenly couldn't field at all. It was like Roger Dorn. And I think in the outfield, I don't see any issue with the outfield. I kind of have a feeling one of the corner guys is going to get involved in a trade somehow. I don't know. Or even Mullins. I feel like one of those three guys is going to get moved. And we almost have to move them.
No, if Colton Cowser is going to play every day.
Or the other kid, the Kierstead kid,
right?
Like, we got to move somebody. I don't know which one of those guys fetches.
Come on, Kobe Mayo's in this conversation, too, by the way.
And I don't know who fetches the most out of that group. I have no idea.
That's going to come up again here in a minute.
My gut tells me it's probably Hayes because he's a very good defensive player. Obviously, Santander has some power, but he's very hot and cold. Mullins, you almost have to discount what happened to him the last 50 at-bats and just act like that wasn't him. So I'm the opposite. I don't think they need to do a whole lot. Now, the one thing I will say, and I was right when I said this, when they lost Batista, I said they can't win the World Series without him. It turns out they couldn't win a playoff game without him.
But that
But
had nothing to do with why they didn't win playoff
it
games.
didn't, but they just
And by the way,
you have to have a
if that was
you have
it,
to have a closer.
if that was it, I think I would feel differently about this. If the story
I just
was
don't know
just that
who's
they
gonna
lost
close
Batista,
games
but
next year. So I would say that the 101 number from this year, and I don't have the data to suggest that. I don't know what the real number is to this. Some nerd knows the number. The 101 number from this year, some percentage of that number was directly tied to Batista.
100% it was.
And now, without him, that 101 number becomes 94.
I don't remember what the Pythagorean model ended up being for the end of the year.
But now I could see where 94 is their number now because Cano blows 9 saves.
I don't think it's not just as simple as that.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
You're right. But when Cano pitches in the 9th, somebody's got to pitch in the 8th.
And it goes a step beyond that. What it really is saying is that in general, these aren't games that you should have won on the whole, and you figured out a way to win them. This goes back to why I don't.
DL Hall's going to be the closer next year.
As far as internal options are concerned, he's a strong one. I think Tyler Wells is going to have to be in that conversation because I don't see them moving him back to the rotation at this point. But maybe they still feel like he could be a high-level starting pitcher and that what we saw in the first half is real. And so if they're not going to go sign a pitcher, then they're going to be inclined to put him back in the rotation next year. But they also were fairly fortunate. And I think it's one of the things when I say that they need to fortify, the Batista injury was the only injury of significance that this team dealt with.
Mountcastle missed a month.
Mountcastle missed a month. Mullins missed a couple of stretches in there. But they didn't have guys go down for an entire season.
Right. No, you're right.
When I say they need to fortify, it's because we have to remember that they still had more luck than they didn't this season in order to get to that
that's
point.
100%.
So it's not me saying I think it's a bad team where it's not. I don't think winning a World Series comes from just saying, well, we think that these players continue ascending. We think that Gunnar Henderson will be even better a year from now. We think that Colton Cowser and Jordan Westberg will be even better a year from now. Even Adley Rutschman will be even better. I think you have to get all of those things, and you have to fortify. You have to have more because you're going to lose a starting – I mean, John Means, in fairness, was not in my list. We do have to include that. But you're going to lose key pieces, and I don't think this is a team that from 1 to 26 – was as good as the other teams were. I think they were good. From 1 to 15, they were as good as anybody else was in baseball. But after 15, I don't think they were as good as the best teams were. And I think if you lined up the roster 1 to 26 for the Texas Rangers and lined up the roster 1 to 26 for the Orioles, you would have realized somewhere around the middle of the roster, oh, crap, that's a better baseball team. And that's the reason why they came in here
I would agree with that.
And won this series. So you have to fortify the roster.
They definitely hit the way they were supposed to hit.
100%.
And we didn't.
Yes.
Right. Good pitching always beats good hitting. And I don't even know that their pitching was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. But our hitting was terrible.
Yep.
Yep. Just facts. I mean, we scored we scored obviously what was the first game? 3-2?
Yeah.
We scored 3 runs in 2 games, and the other game we were going to score 5 until we hit a unlikely 3-run homer in the 9th inning.
Look, man, I think they have a good foundation, and I think that they have the opportunity to be good for some time. But this is going to be predicated on.
Is what you're going to do all winter? You're going to beat up the team that won 101 games?
No, I'm not going to beat anybody up. I'm going to say, what are they doing? What is next?
Look at our track record.
Exactly right. What is next?
Who was the second baseman we got the one year was really good? DeShields? He was the MVP of the team.
That's a great point. He did win team MVP. That is a fact. The liner DeShields was
he
once
had
team
241.
MVP. He might have never been in the roster at the end of the year. I'm not even kidding. I think he might have been gone before the year was over.
Right.
He was the team MVP. They have to prove. And by the way, the answer could be.
Can we go back to beating up the Ravens?
Hang on. To your point about it could be Arias and Mateo, then you've got to move Norby and you've got to move Ortiz. And if that's what you're doing in order to fortify, is you're finally dipping into that they balked at the paying the high end, and instead got crap at the trade deadline.
I know somebody from the White Sox.
Power
hitting.
I hear you.
Power hitting first baseman.
I hear you. I'm not telling you I'm opposed to it by any stretch of the imagination. If he plays here, he might hit a home run in every game.
No doubt.
Like, that is totally possible. But they have to somehow get higher end. however they want to go about doing that. If they don't want to spend the money, and I'm guessing they don't, then they've got to use what they have in order to figure out a way to piece this together. If they want to be the next Tampa, if that really is the way this thing goes, then they have to be shrewd. They have to be deft. They cannot piss away prospects, and we can't watch Drew Rom become a thing over the next couple of years.
Oh, you know he's one of the Cy Young next year.
Oh, there's almost no doubt. When you used him to go get Jack Flaherty, it's got to be better than that.
Right.
And
no,
so
I agree with that. I do. You know, I don't agree with much of what you say, but I agree with that.
We're going to stop right there because that'll never happen.
Can we go back to
again.
beating up the Ravens now?
No, we'll do that later. Ravens, speaking of which, Ravens fans, are you ready for the biggest game day party in Baltimore? Join us at Guilford Hall Brewery Sunday, October 15th for the official Ravens London game watch party. Getting started early with live music, bottomless mimosas, unlimited Guilford beer, Dunkin' coffee, and signature cocktails. Games, Kids Zone, and appearances from special guests, including Ravens legend Jimmy Smith, Ravens cheerleaders, the Marching Ravens Band, and Poe. Doors open at 8 a.m., so rally your flock, and we'll see you at Guilford Hall. This event is free to the public. All-you-can-drink wristbands available for purchase. GuilfordHall.com to get those and for more information. We'll play Would You Rather Wednesday when we come back in, and maybe I'll let Drew say something about the Ravens. I haven't decided yet. Drew Forrester is here. It's Glenn Clark Radio. The Baltimore County Police Department is now hiring with competitive salaries, including for experienced police officers, starting salaries between over $68,000 and over $82,000 based on your prior service time, accepting up to 7 years of service times with only 6 weeks in the academy, minimum of 2 years prior experience. And police cadet starting salaries at over $32,000 must be between the ages of 18 and 20, but you can apply starting at 17 and a half. Must have a high school diploma or GED equivalent at the time of the hire, U.S. citizen at the time of the hire, and a valid driver's license. So if you have a passion for service and want a career for life, now is the time to join the Baltimore County Police Department. Call 410-887-5542 or visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Visit Harford County this fall. Celebrate Arts Across Harford September 15th through the 30th with dance, theater, music, and visual arts. September 29th through October 1st is the largest Italian festival in Maryland, featuring entertainment, cooking demonstrations, a bocce tournament, and family fun. If you're headed to the Maryland 5-Star, stay and play in Harford County. While you're there, enjoy the scenic views atop the King and Queen seats and experience pumpkin patches, corn mazes, and fall brews along their Harford Libation Trail. For more info, head to visitharford.com. Maryland open.
Picking a restaurant to try for the first time? Let's look at the Costas Inn. Here's a few checklist items. Quality of the food? Check. Quality of service? Check. Does restaurant have plenty of free parking? Check. And finally, does restaurant have delicious steamed crabs, crab cakes, crab soup, and specials galore? Check, check, check. Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They check all the boxes.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka dives into what's next for Lamar Jackson after receiving one of the biggest contracts in football history. Is Lamar ready to take the Ravens to the next level, now with a new offensive coordinator and new wide receivers? Also inside, we look at what new football coaches Brian Newberry and Pete Shinnick bring to Navy and Towson, respectively. And we meet players from the college football and soccer programs around the state. PressBox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Come for a game, stay for everything else. Book an unforgettable fall getaway in Charm City. Enjoy only in Baltimore festivals, mouthwatering eats, and endless entertainment. Treat yourself to a staycation in the heart of downtown, or try one of the city's many charming neighborhood hotels. And don't miss out on packages for free parking, breakfast, and more. Plan your stay at baltimore.org/hotels.
Don't forget about Project Game Day after every Ravens game this season. It's kind of like this show, except Rita's also there, so I actually think it's pretty good. But hey, you're already here now, so why don't you go ahead and keep listening to GCR.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program.
If they don't kneel while they're over there, they don't have a hair on their rear end.
What are you doing? Today's show is brought to you. Remember, they're doing everything the opposite way. Everything they did last time, they're doing the opposite way.
We're not going to lose by
this time.
100 points. We're not going to kneel.
Today's show brought to you by Superbook. And speaking of the Ravens being in London on Sunday, if you're
4.5.
I don't think it got back up to 4.5. It started at 4. It came down to 3.5.
Okay.
And it now sits back at 4. 4
Ravens
is again
are
the
4-point
number.
favorites.
Ravens are 4-point favorites over the
I
Titans.
guess those people don't have TVs over there.
Because the Titans have looked so good. when they were losing to the Colts.
We just lost to the JV team.
I'm with you on that. If you like that, either way, if you like the Ravens or if you like Drew and you don't think it makes sense, what I would do is go to superbook.com or download the Superbook app. Use the code GlennClark23, and you'll get a same-day first bet match up to $250 win or lose. Again, superbook.com or the Superbook app.
I don't care what you say. We're not losing to Ryan Tannehill in London.
Yeah, because everybody knows Ryan Tannehill is particularly bad in London. Could be Will Levis.
I mean, that thing the other day, I'm not a knee-jerk fire the coach. You know that. I'm not a knee-jerk fire the coach guy at all. But, like,
it was bad. There's no getting around it.
It was awful.
Well, and look,
Pittsburgh's terrible.
The thing, and I said this both in my column.
I would almost say the losing to the Colts was better. Pittsburgh's terrible.
Yeah, the Colts are at least competent offensively.
Pittsburgh's
barely
so bad.
They're terrible. You're right. What I said is, look, we're wasting our breath with fire.
He's not getting fired. He'll get fired at the end of the season.
And that's the point. The point is, like, this game is the type of thing that you file away. If this keeps happening, if they keep doing the same thing and vomiting all over themselves whenever they're faced with the smallest amount of adversity, then he will get fired at the end of the year. There's no question about that. But you're wasting your breath. I get it. You're mad. I understand everybody being mad. It's inexcusable that they lost that game. It's among the worst losses in the history of the franchise.
I would agree with that for sure. The weirdest part about it, when you break down like again, I do this from 35,000 feet. You do it as well. You watch it, and then you watch the reaction from people. It happened last night. Fire the manager. Rutschman's terrible. Trade Mullins. You see all of these tentacles, right, spurt off the result. So you see that on Sunday, right? Harbaugh, got to fire Harbaugh. Monken's terrible. What's he watching? This guy's awful. Lamar stinks. This receiver, Aguilar, this, that, the other. Bateman's a bust. You see all these things, right? And the reality is that every one of those takes winds up being accurate.
And at least an amount of it, yes.
Right. So right. Lamar was fine when he was throwing the ball to
Lamar
our
wasn't
team.
Fine. Lamar played one of the greatest games a quarterback has played
when Lamar
in
was throwing
modern
the ball
NFL history.
To our players, right?
Yes, he made one really bad throw.
Right, but let me finish. When he's throwing the ball to our players and they're not catching it, people conveniently kind of gloss over that. When later in the game, when he absolutely can't throw the ball to the other team, he throws it to the other team. People forget about the 7 other throws he made. Then, on the next series, when he absolutely can't get the ball knocked out of his hand.
None of that's on him. That's nonsense.
It is on him.
That's not on him.
He's the quarterback.
I understand that, but
it
when a play
is on him.
No. There's fumbles that are on you. When you're in the open field, you protect the ball.
You're the quarterback.
The notion that you're supposed to expect that a left tackle is going to whiff and you can't do that.
You're the quarterback. You can't turn the football over.
This is lazy. That's Stephen A. Smith. That's what Griffin was doing the other day.
It isn't.
You can't try to pretend
it's not.
like that play is on him. It has nothing to do with him.
Every play's on him.
No, this is just dumb, lowest common denominator nonsense.
You're wrong. You're just
Drew,
carrying the
I'm
guy's
not
water
wrong.
now.
No, the throw before that is inexcusable. You can't ever make that throw.
But again, now I'm going back to the other stuff that happens. All of these things that happen along the way that people say, if we kick the field goal at the end of the half, we win. Therefore, Harbaugh's to blame for the loss. That's not true either. But all of these things wind up adding up. John, or I don't even know what happened at the end of the half. And I think that also becomes a little bit of the mystery. It's a little bit like, it was ironic, sort of. Everyone in the stadium blamed Gunnar Henderson for trying to steal in the 9th inning.
Right.
But by connection, they blamed the manager. They said, can't believe you had that kid steal, knowing how good Heim's arm was. Mm-hmm. Can't believe it. And the first question someone asked afterwards is, what happened?
Right.
And Brandon Hyde, the way a manager is supposed to, said, well, we had a miscommunication there. What he didn't say is Aaron Hicks missed the sign.
Right. Aaron
Hicks, because he's trying to avoid getting flamed, says, well, sometimes rookies make those mistakes. No. You made the mistake. But everybody is quick to say, that's why Hyde stinks. Can't have that kid. What's Henderson doing? The guy that made the mistake.
No, it's pretty clear at the end of the first half.
Own up to it.
Tyler Linderbaum wasn't supposed to snap the ball.
Right. So how does that happen?
How does it happen?
How does it happen?
I mean,
and I'm not asking. I guess it's a rhetorical
a player
question,
attempts to get aggressive in a moment and thinks that he's doing something to help the team. Tyler Linderbaum blanks and says, I think I saw a guy jump, so I think that I'm helping the team by snapping the ball.
But that isn't how it happened. No. Listen to me. It happened because with 12 seconds left, John didn't just say, let's kick a field goal.
Well, the decision would have had to have been with 30 seconds left.
Okay, but
to the point, if you want to, and as I said, if you want to criticize Harbaugh, at some point when the clock is ticked down to 20 seconds, there's nothing even to be gained by drawing them offsides.
Just kick the field goal.
You're not going to do anything.
Let's go into the half. We're at 13-3.
When he snapped the ball, there were 20 seconds left on the clock. And if you want to say, by the way, they ran 25 off before they snapped the ball. And if you want to say in those 25 seconds, at some point, John Harbaugh's got to say, dude, this isn't worth it. What are we doing here?
We had
just
at
call
least
the timeout.
One timeout left, right?
They did, yes. Just call the timeout and kick the field goal because it's not worth it. By the time whatever happens here happens, there's nothing left to be gained. We would have one timeout remaining, and we would still need 20 yards in order to get a touchdown in 20
go
seconds.
Up 13-3.
At some point, I would be inclined to agree with you. But in John Harbaugh's mind, if we're not snapping the ball no matter what difference does it make? Let's just go through the charade. If one of them falls over, we get a free 5 yards out of it. It's not the end of the world. So this is a who ordered the code red type of thing.
Well, there wasn't a code red.
That's the point. There was no code red.
If you saw the movie.
I'm aware. Tyler Linderbaum.
Actually, John Harbaugh ordered it.
Well, he didn't, though. Tyler Linderbaum.
Wait, now you're really confusing me.
I understand.
Did
Jack
Nicholson order it or not?
Right. Well, he did, actually.
Okay, so Harbaugh ordered the code red.
But it's not exactly the same thing.
Who put the rag in Tyler Linderbaum's mouth?
Stop it. We got to play
with the poison on it.
I understand.
Who did it?
We got to play Would You Rather Wednesday. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought. Derek Mason will join us in 10 minutes or so, by the way.
Oh, we'll beat him up.
What are you gonna beat Mace up about?
He
might be able to. He might be able to catch the ball.
He didn't win a Super Bowl here.
That's true. He didn't. He didn't win a Super Bowl at all. I don't know what we're gonna beat him up about.
I will. I'm not afraid of him.
For what?
I'm not afraid of Derek Mason.
It's on you.
Hey,
it's your fault.
I'll ask him the hard questions.
Oh, yeah, will you? You're gonna ask him the hard questions.
Do you? All right. So going back to this,
we got to do this.
Do you think he should have kicked the field goal or not?
Of course, I think they should have kicked the field goal.
I agree.
But I also don't I don't know how to blame somebody for you. This is the problem.
Blame the coach.
No, this is the problem. I'll blame the coach for the fact that they fell apart, that they utterly collapsed. I'll blame him for that. But you have to be willing to blame the players. This bit where we don't.
Oh, now you know how I feel about that. Who whiffed on the block punch? Stone.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I think
it
was.
It might have been Geno Stone. It might have been.
I think it was Geno Stone.
Yeah.
You gotta. You have to blame the. He's
off the team.
Ronnie Stanley can't whiff at the end of the game. That can't happen. I don't care that he's playing his first game back. If he's on the field, he can't whiff on a block. That can't occur. You can't drop 7 balls. We can blame John Harbaugh for all these things.
I realized the Andrews.
And by the way, the play call on as bad as the interception was, and it was atrocious. It's an insane play call.
Oh, the back shoulder throw that he never makes in his career. Flacco made it. Monk must have thought Flacco was throwing.
Maybe. And to Beckham?
Yeah, right.
What the world are we doing? Like, what is any of this? All of it.
It was bizarre.
Now, you want to blame John Harbaugh for that? For when he hears that's the call, that he doesn't step in and say, hey, guy.
Here's the plan.
You haven't been around very long.
It's first. Are you ready, guys? Listen. It's 1st and 10 from this 14-yard line. Here's the plan. For the next 4 plays, let Lamar run with the ball. Break. Just hike the ball to Lamar. This is what they should have done with Kaepernick at the end of the Super Bowl. Just hike the ball to the quarterback and let him figure it out.
Go. All right. Would you rather number
one? The one that Aguilar dropped.
It's.
I mean, the Bateman one was terrible. The Aguilar one was worse. Andrews, everybody calls it a drop. It wasn't a drop. The ball just went through his hands. He makes that catch 8 out of 10 times. The other 2 were unbelievable.
Well, this is the difficult.
And even the one that Flowers fell down on. I think if he's running and catches it, he's gone.
Of course he's gone. But it is what it is. All right, would you rather? This is a Orioles season-ending themed Would You Rather win. Oh, you think they were in on
it? All looks suspicious
what we're
to
doing
me.
now.
That's what my friend said to me.
Lots
he
of
texted
shtick.
me. My friend Chris texted me. He goes, dude, I've been telling you for years this is WWE. I'm like,
yep, there
because
you
they
go.
dropped 3 touchdowns.
There's always that guy. Always that guy. You got to understand, this is just entertainment. All right, Orioles season-ending themed Would You Rather Wednesday. Somebody who participates at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. We'll get a shirt of their choice from Birdland Sports. Number 1, would you rather have had it end the way that it did last night? Swept with no drama. You could go to bed in the 3rd inning if you wanted to, or it got back to Game 5 and it ended in extra innings like it did in 2016.
Well, I had tickets to Game 5, so selfishly I would say
just to watch them lose? You would have rather been there to watch them lose?
I wanted to be there to be part of it. Sure, I wanted to see a playoff game. So I would say give me Game 5.
Okay. I feel like
give me Game 5.
I feel like you're supposed
I think this look, I don't think this is going to do any long-term damage. I don't. But, they got swept like they kind of got their asses kicked.
They
really.
Sure did.
And so I think winning the next 2, scratching your way back into it, and then losing in Game 5, and the crowd's there, and we're all standing up cheering and crying. I think there's more merit to that.
Maybe.
I think this is embarrassing.
I think you think about it for a much longer time. We will never think about this.
And I had
again.
tickets.
You keep saying
that.
Tell me all the times that you've thought about the 2014 ALCS.
I don't know. I was there.
I've never thought about it once since it was over. Not once.
I don't know about that.
There was no what could have been.
I
There's
totally
no
disagree with
lament.
that. I was there. I can remember who I went to the games with.
That's fine. You remember the experiences, but you don't have any. The other things sit with you. We think about Nate McLouth and the foul pole for forever.
We
think about these things eternally.
I was there for that game.
When you get your ass,
I was there for that game too.
Yeah, when you get your ass handed to you, you just sort of say like, it's good.
We got our asses kicked.
Like, that's what it is. I don't know. We'll get back. Griffin and I will get to it later.
Whatever.
The Orioles. Would you rather the Orioles make one free agent splash and it's not a starting pitcher? Would you rather it be Josh Hader or Cody Bellinger, perhaps freeing them up to trade someone else for pitching?
Well, definitely not Hader because he went to Old Mill.
I always forget that for you. Always forget. Yeah,
I'm not supporting.
Can't have that.
The only Old Mill person I support at all is my buddy Tim Miller from Free State Electric.
I don't know.
Other than that,
I don't know if you can support him. I feel like maybe you can support. Just going on about how Felix Bautista ended things.
So who was it? Hader and Bellinger.
Yep.
Man, Bellinger fell off the planet, didn't he?
Until this year.
Yeah, I mean he had a good year this year.
Yeah, he had a really good year this year.
And so what are you doing with Bellinger?
That would be up to you. What I said is it would probably free you up to move something else for pitching if you would like.
I'll take Bellinger. I'm going to take a guy who plays every day over a pitcher of any kind.
Okay.
I'm going to always take the field player if I have a pick.
You just were going on about how the Batista thing.
But
I just remember you having that conversation a minute ago.
I did. But again, you gave me an option now. Do I want a field player? I'll take a field player every day.
Would you rather the Orioles decide to move on from one veteran to clear a path for a younger player?
You mean Adam Frazier?
Would you? No. Would you rather it be?
Aaron Hicks.
Would you rather the veteran they move on from be Cedric Mullins or Anthony Santander?
Well, I'm going to base this a little bit on what I also think we have in the trunk here. I'm going to say if you gave me one of those two, you gave me the ability to move one of the two, I would move Mullins.
Okay.
Santander's going to hit you 25 or 30 homers. He's not great in the field, but he's not a liability. He ain't Jay Gibbons. He's not a liability. And I don't know. I feel like, and I'm not trying to be like overly critical, and I'm not trying to pick on him. I kind of feel like the bloom is off of Mullins' rose a little bit. Like this, I feel like this is what he is. You know, he was 30. What was it? 2 years ago, right? He hit 30 homers, and
Well, he was never going to be a 30-30 guy, but this.
but he was.
I understand that, but the
Right.
ball was juiced that season.
Right.
He wasn't
Right.
really a
Well, he
30-30
was.
guy. No, stop. Don't do that. That's bad. We try to do a show here. We know the ball was juiced that year. We have fact about that.
Okay.
The ball was juiced.
All right.
We understand what happened that
you
season.
think Major League Baseball just said that?
No, we actually have like in the
We have juiced balls.
they went out and got the balls.
We have juiced balls to prove it.
They went out and got.
I just feel like
There's
the
a
bloom.
whole. Who was the girl that was behind all that research on Twitter? I can't remember what her
Mia
name
Khalifa?
was. I don't know. What are you doing?
No.
Is
No.
this you work at Calvert Hall all day in
No.
the church? So now when you come over here, you've got to
I
get
don't
all
even know
your
who she is. I just saw her name on the
She's
internet.
very popular. She's a very popular figure.
I just feel like the bloom is off of Mullins' rose. I really do.
I feel like we're forgetting that 3 months ago he was the MVP of the team. Like
I don't
I
know
feel
about
like
that.
it was terrible down the stretch. There's no doubt about it. But I feel like we're forgetting that 3 months ago, and still he was responsible for all of the most important plays of the season.
Not
all
all,
of
but,
them.
but a significant number.
Except for Adam Frazier on the day they clinched. There's that, and then there's 8 Cedric Mullins plays. That's the season. If they do that
You
video
gave me
today,
you gave me the pick.
I get it. It's your choice.
I'm taking Santander.
And number 4, would you
so
rather?
far I'm 3 for 3.
Yeah, you think that's the case?
That's what Griffin said.
Yeah. How did you think that went today?
He texted me.
We were never very good at that after an awkward interview, me picking back. So how did you think that went?
I don't know.
Hey, Coach. Coach Huggins. How'd you think that one went?
Hey, Bob.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, Bob, we're going to go ahead and roll on out of here now. All right.
Hey, Coach. All right, would you rather you have to spend the entirety of this Saturday rewatching the ALDS, including all the pre and there's no getting around it.
Oh.
From 8 a.m.
If I say what I'm about to say about Ortiz, your show's getting kicked off the air.
What do you think I'm going to be, of all of the things
my
you would have done
God.
today,
Oh, my.
beating up David Ortiz is going to be the least of my problems.
Yeah.
Or you have to spend the entirety of this Saturday doing some paperwork at your house while listening to a constant, never-ending loop of every Creed song ever made.
Oh, I'll listen to Creed. I don't need.
Sounds like you want to.
I'll listen to Creed. No,
It
I'm not,
sounds like
I
we're getting
can't.
something out of you.
I can't see another Derek Jeter, misty-eyed, driving back home after a stormy night. I can't do it. I can't watch another Derek Jeter commercial. I saw it in the entire Ryder Cup. I've memorized the song. I was driving home, dreaming of you. I can't do it anymore, and I can't listen to Ortiz. I just can't do it. I'd listen to Creed for a month.
When you are with me.
I'll listen to it for a month.
Well, that's
before I
disturbing.
will listen to Jeter.
You know, they're going to
and
be on for the rest of the playoffs, right? Are you
oh my
bagging on
God,
the rest
I can't
of the
do
playoffs?
it.
Is
I
that what
can't.
you're doing?
I'm going to mute it. I can't
You're
do
going to
it.
skip Astros Rangers here?
Ortiz said something last night. Oh, I know what he said. So I think we'd all agree, right? We got our asses handed to
Yes,
us.
I was there.
Right?
Yeah.
We got our asses handed to us. And I thought, as I watched it, I thought Texas was pretty good. As I watched it.
That's the way
I'm
I
like,
saw it.
Dude, this is a hell of a team they've
Yes.
assembled because we don't get to see them much, right?
Oh,
Like,
it's been a while, 100%.
they go to Ortiz to start the thing, and whoever it was, Kevin Blackstone, whatever that guy's name is, goes, what was the
I don't
guy's
think it's
name?
Kevin Blackest.
Whatever his name is. He goes,
Kevin Burkhardt?
Kevin Burkhardt. He goes, all right, let's go over first. Poppy, what do you think you saw here, Rangers? And they're showing the 89-year-old Bruce Bochy. I don't even know where he is, hanging around in the dugout. And they're like, what do you think? He can barely walk. And they're like, what do you think, Poppy? And they're showing him squirting champagne all over one another. And he goes, I have to tell you, I never even thought that we saw Texas play any kind of good baseball in that series. They're not even as good as they were. And I'm like, what games were you watching? He started to say that Texas didn't even play that well. I'm like, did you watch any of the games? Every time they needed a hit, they got a hit.
They got hits when they didn't need hits.
Every time they needed to field a ball, they fielded a ball. And he went on about how I just don't know that this Texas team is all that good. I'm like, okay, I'm turning you off.
Yeah,
and then when I went to go turn it off, the Jeter commercial came back on.
Oh, well then.
And then he showed his wife, and I'm like, all right, I'll stay through this one more time. I swear. I can't watch any more. I'll listen to Creed for a month before I'll watch those people again.
I told a really unfortunate story last night.
I know.
By the way, Derek Mason's running late today, so we'll get to him.
No,
when
another
we
reason I'm going to beat him up.
Well, I don't even know. He might not even post. We'll find out because we got Morgan Cox is supposed to be joining.
There's a lot
us
of times
this
he
morning
didn't
as well.
post.
The best receiver in Ravens history. That's the guy that you're going to go to
Yeah,
war with.
be careful.
Who would be the argument?
We had a guy from the University of Maryland who was pretty good.
Yeah, that guy was good. I agree.
And
but
we had Frank Sanders for 4 games.
That's true. I forgot about old Frank. Had a hell of a day against Seattle.
Oh, Frank.
Marcus
Robinson
you're
thinking of.
Robinson. Actually, Frank Sanders made
How
some
funny was
catches
it the
in that
one
game,
time
too.
you and I were sitting in the press box back when the station had 2 seats, and they were losing 28-6 or something, and Kelly Washington caught that pass near midfield, and it was like, and he did the first down dance, and you looked over at me, and you're like, does he know that's 28-6 that we're losing?
It was a little bit much. It was a little bit much.
Somebody told me they were knocking out the press box. Did you hear this?
Oh, I was told very clearly that, and that, by the way, they're
putting skyboxes
yeah,
there.
that's been a dirty secret for some time.
Oh, okay.
That was always going to be part
And they're
of the
moving the
plans.
press box into
Yeah.
the corner.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. That was always going to be part of the
Okay.
plans. And by the way, Dick Cass I remember coming in one day, and one of the visiting media being like, "Wow, I can't believe how great of a view it was," and Dick Cass saying, "Don't get used to it."
Oh, okay.
It has been. They have wanted to do that for a very long time.
How was Stevie Nicks the other night?
I didn't go. I wasn't there. I passed.
I didn't hear any reports on her.
A lot of people
said-
didn't make it in time to see Stevie
my
Nicks because they
God.
were stuck in traffic. They didn't get there until she was done. So, it's what it is. By the way, today's show is also brought to you by the Baltimore County Police Department. Coming up on October 28th at the Public Safety Building, their hiring event. Applicants can take multiple parts of the hiring process, including the agility test, the written test, and you can apply right there on the spot, in fact. Plus, members of the specialized units will be in attendance, and in the afternoon, it's the 2nd annual Trunk or Treat event, which is open to anyone in the community. It's a nice, safe way to get your kids out there in their costumes and getting some candy. If you want more information, 410-887-4584 or join BaltimoreCountyPD.com. Yeah, I told a very unfortunate story that is 100%.
Yeah, you went to see Creed twice in one summer.
Twice in one summer.
That's
It is
okay.
a
There's
straight-
nothing wrong. I appreciate.
straight shoot.
I like the fact that you manned up.
I like the girl.
Oh, that's how you're going to roll.
Oh,
with
this is exactly. I
went to see Duran Duran once.
Yeah.
For this very specific reason.
I'm surprised that you don't like Duran Duran.
You know what? I've seen. I don't even know. I've seen 100 and. I've seen Springsteen 28 times. I've seen Rush 15.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen 150 concerts in my life.
Mm-hmm.
In that range.
Mm-hmm.
Duran Duran was one of the top 5 shows I've ever seen in my life.
Really? They were just in
They
DC a
were
couple weeks ago.
when I saw them, they were
Right. They were
legitimate.
Still, yeah, I get it.
This girl drugged me down there, and I was blown away by how good they were. Blown away.
For Mrs. Clark, the only shows that I've gone to specifically for her were I went to when Garth Brooks came to Baltimore and played 5 shows. I went to one of those, but I had a great time. That was awesome. I knew that was going to be a good time because Garth Brooks' songs are fun. He's a performer. He's an entertainer.
Yeah, sure.
You're going to go have a good time.
He's Jimmy Buffett with a good voice.
I have seen Jimmy Buffett a bunch of times, but one of them, I always liked going when they were outdoors because it was fun, and even if the music's sort of meh, you were going to have a good time.
Right, sure.
When he played the arena, she wanted me to go, and I was like, that's no
That's
fun.
a
terrible way to go to it. There's no tailgating. There's
I can't see girls with their tops off.
Exactly right. What is the point
where
of
am I
any of
going?
this,
Right.
So I did that, and then this year I took her to see Shania Twain. And
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, Shania Twain's a hell of a performer. It just ain't for me. It is not my thing.
I would have gone.
And that one, I wish you would have. I had tried to pass. When she asked for the tickets for Christmas, I assumed that she wanted to go with a girlfriend. I thought that was a chick thing. You go to
Right.
Shania Twain with your girlfriend.
Yeah, right. It's like going to the little fair.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm not going with you.
She was like, "No, I want you to go," and I was like, "What? Why not go with somebody who wants to be there? Like, why not ask your girlfriend if she wants to go? And nope. She absolutely wanted me to
I'd do Creed for a month before I listened to David Ortiz talking about baseball.
I went twice in one summer. I took a girl to see Creed in Hershey, who I was interested in, and she was not interested in me, and I watched her make out with another dude. And then I was 16 years old. I was on the way home, and I got pulled over.
I love this.
For both making
I
made an illegal U-turn in
love this.
Fullerton, and then I was driving after midnight. So I got tickets for both. Had to call my father. You got
arrested again?
At 12:30 in the morning. I had to call my father, have him come because they literally were camped out. You don't get to drive now.
Right.
Somebody's got to come get you. So the cop's sitting there waiting with me. I haven't talked to the girl the entire time home because I'm petulant and mad about the fact.
Punch her in the face,
right?
right?
100%.
Or just
it was awful.
Right.
And then to try to get back at her, I started talking to her friend, and her friend's like,
I want to go see Creed.
You know who's coming to Merriweather this summer?
Right.
Creed. I said, yay!
There's no chance Vanessa Carlton's opening, right? If so,
I'm all in.
Now I'm definitely in. Now I get front row for that.
All in, baby.
10,000 Maniacs.
Yeah, right.
There's a three-person free show, three-band show.
I think it was Three Doors Down who opened.
Oh, that was even better.
Yeah, it was a hell of a
show.
Another
talentless group.
Are you hanging out?
No, I gotta go.
All right.
And Lucy's getting her braces.
What do you want to plug?
Have you seen the pregame and postgame shows on baseball?
Drew's Morning Dish.
It's unbelievable how good those guys are.
Yeah, you're really impressed by that crew. Really impressed.
I don't even know why. This would be my question for Jeter. What are you doing?
What are we doing?
Now, what are you doing?
Yeah.
For even maybe for all of them? Like, do you know how much money you made?
Yeah, what? Yeah, that's a good point. For the
what are you doing?
Football players didn't make as much, and you don't get these guys. Peyton Manning's like, I'll do it from my house.
Right.
Like, you want me to do something? That's fine.
Who's the guy on CBS that was a part-time player, but does African American guy does a really good job?
Burleson?
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a part-time player,
okay,
but he wasn't a
he's
star.
not going to the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
I understand why he does it.
Yeah,
he gets $1 million to go sit up there he makes as much as he did playing football. I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
No, Alex Rodriguez and Derek
What
Jeter
are you
and
doing?
David Ortiz certainly do not need the money.
And A-Rod, I would give A-Rod all the credit here. A-Rod, it seems to me, I could be wrong, A-Rod is a baseball junkie.
Okay.
I shouldn't use junkie with him, the same sentence, but A-Rod loves baseball. I believe
that. I believe that he likes it.
I think he's in the way that I'm a golf nerd and I'll sit around here and talk golf with you all day, I think he would talk. If you bumped into him in the New York Hyatt and said, hey, Rod, what do you think about the playoffs? He'd sit there with you for an hour and talk about baseball with you.
Okay.
I really believe that.
Okay. I could buy that.
I understand why he's there.
Well, I also think it's like he wanted to rehab his reputation, and this was all part of it.
Maybe it scratches an itch for him, though. But these other two goofs, what are you doing? Gee, Derek, what are you doing?
Yeah, you don't care about any of this. What are we?
We've seen the commercials.
Yeah.
Go home to her.
All right. Drew's
we know why Ortiz is there. He's not getting shot if he's there. But the other two.
No, that's bad. Let's not do this.
The other two.
Come on, man.
But
I'm begging you.
I won't watch it.
We got to have a line somewhere.
I won't watch it.
Drew'sMorningDish.com.
I won't watch
the
it.
website.
Unless it's just A-Rod without his shirt on.
Well, then, of course.
Or Jeter.
Yeah.
But not Ortiz.
Yeah, Jeets.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, Jeets.
Oh, man.
All right. Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com.
Used to watch highlights of himself.
I'm aware. I'm aware. Drew would always be jealous about the gift basket. Like,
watch this play.
I love one of those.
Watch this play. Hey, watch this play I made.
God. Yeah, Jeets. All right, go. Get out of here.
You sure we're done?
Yeah, we're definitely done. I'm
not sure I can come back next week.
You know what? That's a real shame, Drew. It's gonna be a real bummer.
When Johnny Depp said, I'm not Johnny Depp.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix said something like, maybe next time when I come back, I'll sing for you or something. Well, he was doing rap.
Yeah,
and he goes, next time I come, I'll
perform for you.
And David Letterman goes, yeah, somehow I don't think that's going to happen. We'll keep your name in our Rolodex.
Come to your house and chew gum.
All right, boys.
See you, buddy. Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com. I regret all of it. We'll come back in. I guess we're gonna have to. I guess we're gonna have to move Derek Mason. I don't know what's going on. Morgan Cox, however, is scheduled to join us. Super Bowl champion. Unlike Derek Mason, as Drew pointed out, he's a Super Bowl champion. We'll chat with him. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of PressBox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, October 17th at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. It's brought to you by Superbook Sports and AJ Michaels, and if you or a loved one have a gambling problem, visit helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Picking a restaurant to try for the first time? Let's look at the Costas Inn. Here's a few checklist items. Quality of the food? Check. Quality of service? Check. Does restaurant have plenty of free parking? Check. And finally, does restaurant have delicious steamed crabs, crab cakes, crab soup, and specials galore? Check, check, check. Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They check all the boxes.
Visit Harford County this fall. Celebrate arts across Harford September 15th through the 30th with dance, theater, music, and visual arts. September 29th through October 1st is the largest Italian festival in Maryland, featuring entertainment, cooking demonstrations, a bocce tournament, and family fun. If you're headed to the Maryland 5-Star, stay and play in Harford County. While you're there, enjoy the scenic views atop the King and Queen seats and experience pumpkin patches, corn mazes, and fall brews along their Harford Libation Trail. For more info, head to visitharford.com. Maryland open.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
The Baltimore County Police Department is now hiring with competitive salaries, including for experienced police officers, starting salaries between over $68,000 and over $82,000 based on your prior service time, accepting up to 7 years of service times with only 6 weeks in the academy, minimum of 2 years prior experience. And police cadet starting salaries at over $32,000 must be between the ages of 18 and 20, but you can apply starting at 17 and a half. Must have a high school diploma or GED equivalent at the time of the hire, U.S. citizen at the time of the hire, and a valid driver's license. So if you have a passion for service and want a career for life, now is the time to join the Baltimore County Police Department. Call 410-887-5542 or visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Sure, Glenn may be in his 40s now, but he looks just as good as he ever has, and he's still as sharp as he ever was. And I say both those things without even a shred of irony. Find out for yourself right now by watching the show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or youtube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Project Game Day returns this Sunday, a much earlier version of Project Game Day, probably somewhere in the range of 12:30. It'd be cool if it was even earlier than that. We could knock it all out, watch some football. That'd be great.
What was it? Last week's went
late. Last week's pushed up to 1 o'clock. The one before was wrapped up by like noon. Yeah. Man, that would just be marvelous. Join myself, Rita, Femi Ion Badejo, and a cast of characters all season long for Project Game Day. PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. It's all brought to you by HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, AJ Michaels, and Superbook Sports. We will see you this Sunday for the next Project Game Day. So we're assuming at this point that we're going to chat with Derek Mason tomorrow.
Yes.
All right.
That is the case.
I will forgive him this time, but never again. Last one, Mason. Not true at all. Of course, everybody knows Mason and I have been close for a number of years. Love Derek, and so we'll make that happen tomorrow. In the meantime, you and I can go over Would You Rather Wednesday. Number 1, would you rather have had it end the way that it did last night, swept with no drama, able to just do shtick for like 7 innings? Everybody except Paul Valley. Oh, Paul. I feel like that guy needs a hug, man.
Oh.
We gotta do something for old Paul. He was not. This was not a good series.
I know.
Is it worth
it for him to watch games?
I don't know, man.
Like,
he just
seems like they're not.
Takes
fun.
it very personally. Swept with no drama, get it over with, rip the Band-Aid off, or gets back to Game 5 and you lose in extra innings.
I mean, I understand, I guess, the argument you're making for, why getting swept is better, but I don't think it does not feel good. So I would.
But you're acting like it feels good to lose in game. What are you doing? Did it feel good to lose in 16?
I would like this to have gone a little bit longer, and to have a little bit.
I can understand.
Night,
I can understand some of the arguments here.
Friday night.
I can understand, and by the way, it's overwhelming your answer. And the esoteric argument is well, you'd feel better about the team and the fight that they had shown, and you would think that would have some value moving forward. I guess maybe I don't know. They fought back in 2012, forced to Game 5 after they had trailed in that series.
Yeah.
Did that do anything for them in 2013?
Well, they should have won.
It didn't. I mean, this is I don't know that it means anything. It's a very difficult thing, right?
I do like it being memorable. Yeah, we remember that 2012.
But not for good reasons. We don't
Yeah,
remember
but-
it because we have pleasant emotional feelings about it. We remember how furious we are about what happened. We still get pissed off about Zach Britton being in the bullpen. We don't remember it because we remember it fondly. We have no fond memories of it whatsoever.
Franchise-defining moments, and then
what?
Yeah, these are
Your
those are things that we're
memories
gonna
are
remember
Delvin
forever.
Young. The things that you
still
care
remember
about.
Zach Britton being in the
You
bullpen.
remember it, but you don't like remembering it. It makes you seethe. It's not pleasant to think back on it. I get it. I understand the arguments, but down the road, I would rather not have to think back about another thing that pisses me off. I would rather not have to think about another thing that, whereas, again, much like I have no thought. I never in my life think about 2014. I don't at all think about that ALCS. It never comes up. I
think that
I couldn't remember any one thing about any one game in that series at this point because it just ended, and that's fine. It just ended.
It's not fine.
Well, I mean, I would rather it not have. Don't get me wrong, but these are my options. I got to choose one or the other. I'm in a weird place with it where I would honestly, if I know the ending isn't going to be good one way or the other, I would kind of rather just get it over with.
I disagree.
I would rather have a baseball game to watch tonight. I'll give you that. I wouldn't be on 105.7 Fan tonight. Actually, I had to bag doing. I feel bad. I had to cancel being over at Loyola tonight. We had a soccer match, and I can't do it now because I got to be over at 105.7 The Fan. I liked having this as comfort, but if I was watching tonight knowing they were going to lose on Friday, I don't know how much joy it would give me. I don't. If I'm gonna,
Well, you don't know, right?
no. If I'm told,
case,
if I'm making
you're
a choice,
told,
yes,
you're told
I'm
before the
told.
series starts.
It's one or the. You're picking one or the other.
I would still want it to go 5 games and have something to root for a good solid week.
Sure.
Rather than
Number
then I'm
two.
not even watching if I know they're getting swept.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're not going to watch tonight. I'm saying we can go back to last night.
You tell me on Friday, right?
The first
the
inning.
way this is.
No. In the first inning last night, I'm telling you,
Oh,
either
okay.
it's over tonight, or it's over on Friday.
I'd say, who are you? And
Yeah, right. What the hell is
Get outta
this? What? If this is the magic you're capable of it, why are you using it on this?
I thought I liked
Couldn't you
baseball. Jimmy.
better the world? All right, number 2. Would you rather the Orioles make one free agent splash? It's not a starting pitcher. Would you rather it be Josh Hader or Cody Bellinger?
So the argument for Hader is you don't have a closer next year.
Well, that's part of the argument, yes.
Yeah,
But as I said, this year, even if you had a closer, good teams have multiple options of guys they can go to shut down games.
Yeah, I feel, I honestly, I think it could go either way. I feel like there's not I feel like someone will emerge from the bullpen, whether that's Tyler Wells, they keep him in the bullpen, whether it's DL Hall, whether Yennier Cano becomes, April, May, Yennier Cano again. But I also, I'm like, where does Bellinger fit in all this?
No,
I mean,
you'd have to be moving on from someone.
Yeah, like Belly could play first base, I guess, and he could, and I could obviously play anywhere in the outfield. But like that's just gonna further slow down like Kjerstad becoming an everyday player. Kobe Mayo's waiting. Like, I think I'm gonna lean Hader just because you can always use more bullpen help.
I think you're doing an interesting thing there. And by the way, I might still go with Hader, but I think you're doing an interesting thing there where this goes back to this is why the offseason becomes interesting to me is that last year I could give pass to, well, you've got to get these guys here and see them and figure out what you have. But now you know what you're capable of. And with not extending guys, your window is closing as much as it's opening on certain ends. I don't know that you got another year in you of we just got to figure out what we have in Mayo, Kjerstad, Kalser before we can add anything. Before we, you won 101 games. I think you got to ramp it up. And to the point, I think the real question is, did any of, and this gets back to my third question, of course, being you got to move on from one veteran. Is it Cedric Mullins or Anthony Santander? Go ahead. By the way, for the record, I think my answer is Hader of the two, but it's more complicated to me. Go ahead.
The old mill thing doesn't.
That does not do anything for me.
Cedric is, because the heights of Cedric Mullins are so high, and then we can see how low the lows are. Like Santander is definitely more consistent as a hitter.
Sure.
Yeah,
steadier.
I think it would just come down to whoever has more value. I think at this point, like I don't want to move on from either, but I also
you have to pick one.
Right, I know, but I also recognize that this is probably the best thing that would be the best thing for the team to flip them for pitching. I would just go with whoever has more trade value. I feel like Mullins would. I don't know, just because of the defense, and he can be a leadoff hitter. So I would. I guess trade. I don't know.
By the way, the awkward part about this conversation is it is probably the way to go about doing things, but I think we are approaching this from the wrong perspective.
Santander, because I just bought a Cedric Mullins jersey.
Okay, there you go. I don't think you're using these guys to get your pitching, right? And that's I'm sort of being misleading. I don't think you're using these guys to get your pitching because I keep saying I don't know who the team is that's so loaded with pitching that what they're missing is a defensive center fielder or a good but not dominant bat. I think you're using Norby and Ortiz to get your pitching and then perhaps turning around and using these guys to then fortify your farm system, which if Norby and Ortiz are gone, Jackson Holliday is at the major league level, Heston Kjerstad, Kelton Kalser, Jordan Westberg are all at the major league level, maybe even Kobe Mayo, all of a sudden you're looking around and saying, well, this is not the crazy farm system that it was. This goes back to the Rays concept, which is you're doing both things. Using what you have to get your pitching. There's a team somewhere that's not going to be very good but happens to have pitching. You use the talent that you have to try to go pluck those pitchers away from that team, and you give them younger talent, which makes more sense for them, while at the same time going to a team that could use one more bat or could use one more center fielder, and they're willing to trade from their organizational depth in order to do it. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's both things, but they kind of intertwine, right? Like you're taking two lines.
Maybe
and
trade
going,
them both. I mean, I don't like.
Well, it might ultimately be that when you look around, they have, but that's not a Would You Rather Wednesday scenario.
So I'll go Santander, so I can keep wearing my Mullins jersey.
Okay,
him on the team.
That's the reason. To me, the answer is Santander because of everyone, I don't know anybody in the system that can play a defensive center field like Cedric Mullins that can. Whereas I think that some of like Heston Kjerstad and Kobe Mayo might be able to be as productive as Anthony Santander is. But there's one thing that Cedric Mullins does that I don't know that anybody else from top to bottom in this system. I guess Enrique Bradfield will have to find out at some point in the future, but we're not close to that. There's nobody that can do quite what Cedric Mullins does. So I'm going to be inclined, as bad as it was, and it was painful, I'm going to be inclined to try to go one more year and figure out if he can be the guy that he was to start this season instead of the guy that he was to end this season. Number 3, would you rather? Oh, no, that was number 3. And number 4, would you rather? You have to spend the entirety of this Saturday, 12 plus hours, say 14 or so hours, something like that, watching the entire division series back, including all the pre-post game, everything it takes to fill up the time. Or you spend the entirety of Saturday at home doing paperwork while a constant, never-ending loop. And I want to make that abundantly clear. You go take a piss, Creed goes with you. You walk outside for a second, Creed goes with you. There's no conversations to be had because you would have to turn down the music in order to do that. You can't also, it's been come up, you don't get to be, well, I would just watch football and have the sound. Nope.
Do I get to check?
Paperwork and Creed.
Can I check the score of the football games?
Yeah, but only briefly. You don't get to be invested at all. You are spending your day
I can go on Twitter, see a clip,
No.
How does Shedeur Sanders score?
Nope. Can't do that. Nope.
How much is Maryland winning by?
Nope. None of that. Paperwork and Creed. That's what your day is.
I mean, I don't want to watch these games. I mean, so the only thing, since I went to, game 1 and 2.
You could find yourself saying, "Hey, what did I miss?"
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah,
what do I not
about?
know
what
about?
Because
about? Yeah, 100%.
So I think I am gonna lean that way. But if I had been at home, I think without a doubt I probably would have just had to deal with the Creed and because I would not want to watch last night's game again. So for me, I'm going to go with. I'd rather watch the games over again because I was at the first two, so get to watch it from a different perspective.
You do have that going for you, which is nice.
Yeah.
Griffin's like, could I do that and listen to Creed? What if I just want to spend my day hanging out with the guys from Creed? What if that was how I wanted to spend my time? I got that was a really painful memory that I opened up last night, man. That was
everyone
really
appreciated
painful.
It.
It was I couldn't have so many people talking about Creed without me.
Maybe that's the way the Rangers did it. They did it
to get me to open up about this. This is the funny thing. I've actually rekindled a friendship with the girl that was making out with the other guy. Like,
congrats.
For years we didn't really talk much. I have gotten to a place where I'm comfortable again with that. We ended up dating. That's the funny part. I didn't give up on this. I went to another Creed show with her friend. Then that ended. And then, I went back and barked despite the fact that I had gone to this show and watched her make out with another dude. I still ended up, in fact, she ended up being my senior prom date.
So it all worked out.
Yeah.
Persistence.
Yeah, something like that.
And now now all you got is a great
I didn't have to go to another Creed show. That's the nice part. That was the end. I saw Creed twice in one summer, and that was the end of that.
So Creed is that bad? I mean, I don't have really any reference.
I don't know. There's times where I hear a Creed song, and I'm like, nostalgic. Like, I have a moment set in because they were so ubiquitous in those days where I'm like, this reminds me of a time. And then, no, I remember all over again. No. This is hell. This is just miserable. Continue to get me your responses. Gotten a bunch in at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter and Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Proctor said it came down to the pre- and post-game show, too, like Drew did. Just watch the games. It'd be okay. But I got to watch Ortiz and Jeter. No, I'm out.
And Jeter's 10 commercials.
It's weird. It's weird that's the part that bothers everybody.
No, I think that's
You think
fair.
that makes sense?
Yeah,
fair enough. Hey, we will be back next Tuesday night at Mother's North Grill in Timonium for the next Tyus Bowser show. Tyus and a special guest will join us. Find out more, pressboxonline.com/Bowser.
If it was like Michael Kay and A-Rod, I absolutely would
that's a
go
good point.
crazy.
Yeah, that would be rough. That'd be rough. Come join us next Tuesday night. Michael's North. Did I say Michael's North? It's, of course, not. It's Mother's North. You did the Michael Kay thing and that kind of. Mother's North Grill in Timonium. Come join us for the Tyus Bowser Show Tuesday night. It's all brought to you by Superbook Sports, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, and AJ Michaels, PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. Ravens-Titans on Sunday in London. And as you guys know, our next guest, a favorite of mine, We always joked, nobody, when you're a long snapper, you don't want anybody in town to know your name. But this guy actually managed to walk the tightrope of people in town knowing his name, despite the fact it wasn't because they hated him. He is a Super Bowl champion, and now the long snapper for the Tennessee Titans. He's our friend Morgan Cox, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Morgan, it's Glenn. It's great to catch up, brother. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Absolutely, Glenn. Great to be on.
Dude,
hear you guys again.
It's been too long, man. How's life? How's everything going with you, the family?
Everything's great, man. We're I grew up in Memphis and went to school in Knoxville, so Nashville's kind of been it's been kind of a dream scenario, have been around friends, and we've got our 4th kid on the way, so we're pretty excited about that, man. Life comes fast.
What are you doing? You're like damn near my age. Why in the world would you still be doing this at this point? How do you?
I love it, man. I love it. You can't get away from it.
Mrs. Clark and I had 2 and said, yeah, that's enough. We're good here. That's more than enough.
Trying to field another football team myself.
Hey, bro, I get it, man. I get it. Morgan, I keep thinking about like how cool it is that your relationship that you had with this city and with this franchise, and it's so unique, right, within the community of long. I bet you get together with other long snappers. They're all I don't know right now at the moment. It's part because Nick got hurt. I don't know how many people in Baltimore can name the current long snapper on the team. And yet you had this like really cool relationship with this city, and you were so like, how cool, how unique was that experience that you had here in Baltimore?
Yeah, it was so special, and I look back on, like I said, I pinch myself as to how privileged and how blessed I am to be in this position, and I credit so much of it to the success that we had, success that Justin had and Sam had. That they kind of brought me along, and so I'm Baltimore is a second home for me, and I'll always see it that way. Just so many special memories, so many special people there that I still stay in touch with. So love it there.
That's cool, man. Do you know anything that rattles Justin? Like, do you know anything in any moment that could possibly rattle that dude?
I don't, and he's special in that way, and he's done some amazing things that even I look back and I'm just like, I can't believe we did that, but I'm so proud of him, and he deserves every bit of recognition he gets, and the respect that he gets around the league is second to none. I mean, there's nobody that doesn't look at him as being the best in the game, and so he's deserving of that from all the things that he's done, and I imagine he will continue to do.
But you're telling me there's nothing that you're going to tell your guys this week, like, hey, when he goes out there and lines up, like say something about like say opera sucks or something like that, right? Like you're not going to do anything like that.
It's a Michael Jordan situation. You don't want to make that guy mad, because then he's going to go, hang another NFL record on you. No, but Justin he's a special talent, and I'm proud to be a friend of his.
I actually don't know. Have you been back to London since the game against the debacle against the Jaguars?
I have not. I've not been back to London since then, and I've been back.
Have you talked to anybody with the team like, hey, here's some things that went wrong for us the last time we were there. Here's some things that maybe we need to try to do differently when we go this time in comparison to that time.
Well, the Titans have been over there multiple times, and
okay.
and so we've. I know for myself, I'm trying to adjust to London time already. I've been up for quite some time now. And,
really.
This morning, just trying to be a pro and get my body ready for the time change. That way, when I get over there, and we're doing things as a team in the same way that. Trying to get ready for the game.
Morgan Cox is with us here in GCR. I asked this question. I know it's not relevant to you because you're not on this side, but can you look back on that day and say there were things or is it just football? Like that, it wouldn't have mattered where that game was played. That game could have been played right here, or in Jacksonville or in Nashville. And sometimes there are just football games that go that way, and it kind of didn't matter any of the things that happened in the build-up to it.
The saying, any given Sunday, I hate to be cliche, but it truly is. I mean, everybody's a professional that steps in between those lines. And so, it's just part of the game, that you got to adapt to the conditions. And that day we weren't the better team.
That's the way it goes, right? That's the way it works. And, we're hoping that things change this week. I know you're not, so I understand that entirely. Morgan Cox is with us here on GCR. Morgan, I know that you're going to deflect this, but this is a genuine question I'm asking. You just made your 5th Pro Bowl last year. You've now been a Pro Bowler with 2 different franchises. Have you ever thought about where you might be on, like, the list of the greatest long snappers in football history?
It has never crossed my mind. I'm honestly, Glenn, I'm focused on this next game, and heck, I'm like I told you, I'm focused on tonight, on what time my bedtime is going to be tonight. So no, I really do just focus on what I can control, and I think that's helped me over the years. And so while I appreciate the compliment of just being in that question, I certainly have not ever considered it, and probably never will.
I appreciate it, and I knew that's how you were going to answer it because I know you, and so I knew that. But like, I can you understand why? Like, it was a literal thought that I had, like, and I mean that in a way that I don't want you to try to get in the place where you're blowing yourself up, but you got to have a moment where you think to yourself, like, boy, this has gone so much better than I could have maybe even fathomed it was going to go. That I've been able to accomplish things that very few in my profession have ever been able to accomplish.
Oh, I mean, Glenn, to pinch myself is the best way to put it. A few weeks ago, at the beginning of the season, I retired my high school, retired my jersey, and I mean, if you had talked to me or to any of my teammates back in, I'm so old, 2003, 2004, before I graduated, that I would be the one with a so far 14-year career. They would have said, you're crazy. There's no way. But I'm truly honored and blessed to have traveled the road I have. And the thing that means the most to me is the relationships. Like I said before, I'm friends with the best kicker in the history of the National Football League. And I've made some incredible relationships with people up in Baltimore. Sam Cook and I still talk on a regular basis. And, Anthony Levine and I are here together in Tennessee.
That's right.
And still talk to Chris Horton and Coach Rosberg and Randy often. So it's great that I'm very, again, appreciative of my career, but the thing that means the most to me is the relationships that I've gotten to cultivate over the years.
By the way, so Levine pulled a trick on me. By the way, bro, like the day the season ended a couple years ago, he called. He was gonna come on the show, and I was like, "Hey, man, have you thought at all about your future? Like, are you going to be around?" And he's sort of like, I could hear almost a smile, like a wry, like laugh in him. He was like, "No, dude, what are you talking about?" The next day, he announced his retirement. The next day, he said, and I text him like, "Bro, what? What the hell, man?" He's like, "Dude, I can't." He thought I knew. He thought that I had somehow stolen some information. How cool has that been? And do you see him like progressing towards? I remember talking to him about it at first, and he was like, "I don't know about this," but the more I talk to people, I get the sense that he could be like a legitimate head coach at some point in the future, that he's got that in him.
Yeah, he's such a presence around this locker room, and even though he's only been here for a short time, I've been here for a short time, but he's been here for a short time, and you can just tell the respect that he has garnered from young players that just want to learn from him. And so I'm excited to see where his career is going to go in terms of coaching. He was so great at his craft when he was in the league, and I don't think that I think that translates into the coaching career as well. I mean, he approaches everything to be the best at it, and he wants those around him to be at their best as well. And so that speaks to the culture that we had in Baltimore, and it speaks to his personality as well. That it's about the team, it's about the people that are around him that he wants to lift up.
Do you still go out for burgers on Fridays?
I haven't been out for burgers with 3 kids and 4th on the way. It's a little different home situation. You know what I mean?
All right, fair. And it was like the 3 of you. You know what I mean? Like it was a shared thing. No one ever ended up like stalking you guys out on Fridays, did they?
They knew our order. We would walk in the door and I unfortunately don't remember the waitress's name, but I mean they didn't even give us menus right there at that Red Robin. They just dropped our burgers off a couple minutes after we walked in, and and we were out, within 45 minutes to an hour or so just after we got done.
I'll have you know that even when I wrote the story about it, I never said it was Red Robin because I was trying to protect you guys
That's right.
from getting a
That's
crowd
right.
on Fridays.
Yeah, it's fair to say now.
Now it's over, right?
Yeah.
And it was the fried egg, right? That was the bit that you guys got the burger with the fried egg on it?
Oh yeah. It Red Robin, dear place in our hearts.
That's so wild, man. That is so wild. And Sam was like, dude, it's not a superstition. I just like burgers.
That's right. We're not superstitious. We're just
a little stitious. Exactly right. Hey, it was working for you guys.
To quote Wink Martindale. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I saw this picture of you on Twitter signing.
Oh boy.
Somebody handed you an Alabama shirt to sign, and you signed it. Go Vols, really?
I warned him. I warned the kid. I was like, I can't sign that. I went to UT, and he was like, I don't care. I want it. I want you to sign it.
And could you tell? Okay, was it just a situation? This is all I have. So like, I want you to sign something. This is all I have. Here's what I've got. Or were they trying to troll you?
I didn't get the sense he was trying to troll me, but it's Alabama. Anything goes.
That's a good point.
It's Alabama, Tennessee, third Saturday of October, so anything goes when it comes to that. But no, I feel like he had some other stuff, and that's what he wanted signed. So I said okay, but I gave him the disclaimer.
I mean, you know what, man? I can't. If that's what you said, you put it all out there. I get it. It's gonna be awkward. Somebody else will be like, "Dude, did you really just sign the Alabama shirt?" Like I did, but have you started petitioning Justin yet to be his presenter for the Hall of Fame?
As I've told him many times, I just want an invite. That would be an honor for me to be able to sit in the crowd with him. So I definitely have not. There are many deserving people of that, and Justin, without a doubt, will be there one day. So. Like I said, I just want to be in the audience.
It'll be a special time to have everybody back together for that. But before that, obviously, it'll be a special day on Sunday for you guys to catch up before the game. Morgan Cox, is there anything? Now with 4 kids on the way, do you have to? Is there something I can plug for you? Is there anything else you're doing besides snapping footballs and making babies?
No, man. That's about all there is these days. So no, all's good, and man, it's great to hear from you, and. Looking forward to Sunday.
Dude, love you. Always appreciate you, man. You've always been great with us over the years. Even after the first time ever approaching, you were like, bro, I don't think anybody wants to hear from the long snapper.
That's right. That's right.
You're the best. Really happy for you. Can't lie and tell you we're rooting for you on Sunday, but you know how this goes. Always rooting for you, dude. May success continue to come your way, and best to your family as well. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Appreciate it, Glenn. You too, man.
It's the great Morgan Cox. And I'm not kidding about that. I couldn't possibly tell you. I don't know how the long snapper community and who keeps track of these things, but there's got to be an argument that he's in the conversation. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. And at one point, I think when his career began, they didn't even do Pro Bowl long snappers. They just let whoever the kicker was bring their own long snapper to the Pro Bowl. So it might be that he would have been more than that if they had started doing Pro Bowl long snappers at the beginning of his career. And I know, there's no, I can't, when I suggest this, I don't have any reference for it because the only long snappers I could ever name are the long snappers that played for the Ravens. Yes, Griffin. The current one is Tyler Ott.
Yeah, Tyler Ott.
Who replaced the injured Nick.
Yeah.
He was on your what?
He was on my fringe fantasy Ravens team, basically.
What?
Me and my friend do a preseason thing where we're trying to guess the guys that are on the outs that are going to make the team.
Okay. So you had to keep saying the name over and over again because the long snapper was going to make the team.
Yeah.
I can name Nick Moore. I can name, of course, Mac Tula. I can name Joe Maise was the long snapper once upon a time here in Baltimore.
These are before Morgan Cox?
Yeah, these are the ones before Morgan Cox. At one point, Morgan got hurt late in the season, and they had to go with a guy named Patrick Scales. I don't know what happened to him, but I do remember that fella. That was a person that was on the team when Morgan got hurt. And
it's a skill.
Well, I can name the other long snappers I can name are Joe Cardona, who was at Navy and then was the long snapper for the Patriots for years, but I only know that because of Navy. And John Kondo, who was at Maryland, ended up being a long snapper for the Raiders for years. So I can name 2 other long snappers. I have no idea who
Yeah, I don't
else.
think I can name.
I feel like there was a long.
Cardona, yeah. And then
I feel like there was a long snapper who had a terrible snap on a playoff field goal for the 49ers against the Giants years ago, or maybe against the. I don't know who it was against, but there was a bot. He came in off the street. And I feel like we had him on the show at some point because he was calling a national radio broadcast of a Ravens game. And I was looking him up, who is this guy? And I found out he was a long snapper. I'm like, oh, great. This is. And I was doing his history. And apparently, I think he spent a training camp with the Ravens. And, oh, God. I have a name that I think it is, but I don't want to just embarrass myself.
you can't embarrass yourself. You were telling that Creed story.
That's a great point. How could it be more embarrassing than that? You're not wrong. Oh, God. Dale Hellestray.
Of course.
But was he the guy? No, he was not the guy. Take it back. He wasn't the guy. He was a long snapper, though, and he did spend some time with the Ravens in 2002 when Joe Maese got hurt. So I put two stories together. I don't remember who the guy was that botched the long snap on the field goal for the 49ers. I've named, though, 8 long snappers, which I'm going to guess is about 5 more than anybody else could name. Don't know who the greatest one is of all time, but I think Morgan is in that conversation just based on what he's accomplished. Love that guy. Yeah, Brian, I know Joe Cardona. I just said it. Same time you were saying it. All right. Today's show also brought to you by this print issue of Press Box. Only days at this point left to get this print issue of Press Box. The cover story about Lamar Jackson from Bo Smolka. Final chance. If you haven't gotten it yet, get it because it will be gone and it will be replaced by a new print issue next week with a baseball theme. So make sure you get this now, this print issue of Press Box. Also available at PressBoxOnline.com. You can read the entire issue there or go get to your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box in order to get it. All right, now let's switch back to baseball. Obviously, an unfortunate evening last night in an unfortunate series between the Orioles and Rangers, but it does not change the fact that it was a magical season. Joining us now to offer his sort of final thoughts on this year, always a pleasure to be joined by Orioles Hall of Famer, Baseball Warehouse, Field of Dreams, 105.7 The Fan. He is the ubiquitous Mr. Mike Bordick, and he's back with us here on GCR. Mike, it's Glenn. That was tough, man. Appreciate you taking the time for us.
Hey, Glenn. Yeah, thanks for having me. Ubiquitous, huh? You think so?
You're
you're
everywhere, brother.
Everywhere?
You are everywhere, man. You're killing it. You know that. You know that.
I love it.
Mike.
Love it. Well, having fun doing what I'm doing anyway.
It was what happened over the course of the last 3 games. A story of a young team facing their first playoff spotlight and the moment being too bright for them, or was it just baseball that this could have been, the Dodgers were seeing in a similar situation, that sometimes for 3 days you just don't play your best and another team does?
Well, I think there's a lot that can potentially go into this final answer about the Orioles postseason. One thing that I think is really interesting, and it's been talked about past few days, the fact that there's so much time off, I think, for these teams that are so good. It's so hard for these players who are really built into the routine of a 162-game season, to have that much time off. And I truly believe it hurt the Orioles. I think they just had a hard time adjusting to that and kind of reigniting the flame that they had really all season long up until the last 2 games. And I only blame that on the fact that they clinched the American League East. So there was a letdown there. And they just weren't able to recapture that flame of confidence. But I'll tell you what, if anybody felt like I did, I felt that flame in every game. I just never felt like they were ever out of it. Even as far behind they dropped on Sunday, I just felt like they were going to fight back. They did. They gave us a chance. Yesterday was a little different. You could kind of tell the end was there, especially after the marks that were made early by Texas. But it's just such a fun year. And in my opinion, at least the second best team in baseball behind the Braves by the brand of baseball they played, not because they had superstars, but because they played the best brand of baseball.
That's the part that I like. It's really funny to me, Mike, because when we shift the conversation to the future, I know how good of a team this was this year. But I still don't know why it was so good of a team this year. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like, they won games, and that's what they were good at, was finding ways to win games. They didn't hit the most home runs, and they weren't loaded with 300 hitters, and they didn't have the best frontline starting pitching. They were just good at winning games, and I think that projects well for this team. But I also kind of feel like they have to improve in some areas in order to make that next jump to winning a World Series. Do you feel a little bit of that moving forward?
No, absolutely, and I think this year will be a great guide. I believe this team overachieved.
Yeah.
I believe that there are opportunities to get better, and I think some of them stood out. Pitching is just a requirement if you want to go far in the postseason. It's a necessity. They had a very strong rotation all season long, but there were hiccups along the way. They were able to recover, which was part of the drama, and I think the beauty of this team, because of the setbacks that they all bounced back from, and they just made it seem so fluid and seamless. But yeah, you could tell that there were a couple things that we all wish we had. We all wish we had a Eovaldi, right? We all wish we had a Montgomery, a guy that was picked up at the trade deadline, because that's something that I think Mike Elias will learn from. Just, now that we're in the winning mode, just what you do at the trade deadline really matters. The fact that there were two pieces we picked up that didn't do anything for us. As a matter of fact, may have set us back. And fortunately, we were able to hang on and win the American League East, but it didn't set up well for the postseason with those two extra arms.
Well, that's a great point. It's unfortunate, and that's the other part too, Mike. Is that you sit back and you say Mike Elias deserves all the credit in the world, but the next phase of this is learning how to go from the talent's here, there's a nucleus, there's a core, to now you got to take the next step. And unfortunately, to your point, the first couple of things that we have seen didn't go so well, and so that's got to be recalibrated this offseason. Mike Bordick is with us here on GCR. Mike, let me put a few things to you as we look forward, right? Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holliday, we're presuming they're both going to be on this team on opening day. Well, we know Gunnar is. We're presuming that Jackson Holliday is a major leaguer to start the season. Even if he's not here to start the season, we're presuming it's not going to take very long for him to get here. So where would you want, if we're talking about Memorial Day weekend next year, where would you want each of those guys to have settled in at position-wise moving towards next year?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think Gunnar's handled himself extremely well, both at third base and shortstop, which is incredible. Gunnar, not Gunnar, but Holliday, has he been playing second base in the minor leagues, or has he been strictly playing shortstop? See, that's something I don't know. And he will need experience on the right side of the infield if indeed they're thinking about moving him to second base. And that may be just enough of an opportunity to keep him down in the minor leagues, just in case, so that they have, another year of control over him. Now, that would be unfair if because they did that with Adley to some degree. But I guess in my mind, I think Holliday would play short and he would slide over to third base, because he could be one of those third basemen that kind of ends up falling into like a Manny Machado, Brooks. I'm not going to say Brooks Robinson, but one of those elite third basemen. That's the kind of capabilities he has. He's just such an elite defender.
By the way, he's only played 20 games at second base this season. It was pretty clearly. Ironically, he's played basically no third base whatsoever. So that's not a thought at all. Like in fairness, though, I guess Manny never played third base either in the minor leagues.
Right.
But Jackson Holliday played 98 at short this season.
Okay, and just the fact that, I love the fact that the Orioles are kind of going old school and looking more towards the middle of the diamond, at shortstops to draft and go after, because they are considered more athletic and potentially could handle a move a little bit quicker over to second base or even third base. And these guys are just really good athletic infielders. So it probably wouldn't take Holliday that long, but Yeah, I mean, I think versatility seems to be the name of the game for the Orioles. At least it was this year. For a lot of these guys to have that ability and flexibility to move around. Westberg can play second and third. Gunnar can play short, and Gunnar could play anywhere on the baseball field. I'm sure, and I'm sure Holiday would be much in the same.
Mike Bordick is with us here on GCR. Mike, you mentioned pitching, and I feel like that's where the conversation starts for everybody moving forward. That said, if you've got a full season of John Means and, Grayson Rodriguez continues to ascend and Kyle Bradish backs up what he did this year, I think you're going to feel pretty good about those guys. Is it that you need to go get a number one, a top of the rotation, or you just need more, like you can count on those guys, you need more guys that you can definitively count on and fill the rotation out otherwise with proven major league starters? Is it top end or depth to you that's the bigger priority going into the offseason?
I think depth is a priority, and then I think, the trade deadline could potentially bring one of those stud arms, right? But I think depth is definitely a priority, and I think, Elias has done a really good job of scouring the minor leagues and internationally and finding, arms that they feel like they can develop. And so I still don't think he's got to break the bank in that regard, but it wouldn't hurt to get a couple guys that have had experience, because they've got to look at bullpen arms too. Batista's not going to be here next year. Has anybody thought of that?
Yep.
This guy was an MVP candidate before he went down. That is a huge loss. And I say that because of experience. When I played in 1997, we had Randy Myers, who was the best closer in all of baseball that year, and it just rolled right through. We were wire to wire in '97, and then the next year he was gone, and we tried Mike Timlin, who forever had been a setup man, and we tried to slide him into the closer spot, and he blew like 10 saves in a row, and we never recovered. We never had stability at the back end of our bullpen, and we didn't find it for a long, long time. Batista locked
we
down
all
the
remember
back
another guy you tried in '98 that didn't go so well, too. Yeah, Armando Benitez, of course, being the other guy. That was rough.
Yeah, so it ain't that easy, right? So I think the Orioles were really lucky to have Batista. So they've got to find some arms that will hopefully.
Mike? Would you be inclined to give Hall or Wells does it need to be an outsider? Do you feel like one of those two guys?
Oh no, I like those guys too.
Yeah.
Well, what's Wells going to be? Do we know what Wells is?
We don't. It was going to be on the list of questions I had for you. Would you prioritize?
The first half of the season, he was our best starter.
Yeah.
Arguably, he had the best whip in all of baseball. The first half of a major league season. Right, and then all of a sudden he became a closer or a bullpen piece at the end. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, he offers that same kind of versatility, but he's one of those guys too that could pitch a long time in the big leagues with spot starts and work long relief that kind of way. So I don't know. There are a lot of options. Yeah, I do think they could use those guys at the back end. DL Hall was exceptional. Wow, was he electric?
Yep.
And let's hope that he doesn't need a reset. I think that was kind of a fun buzzword this summer because a lot of Orioles got reset and ended up doing a pretty nice job. And let's hope he doesn't need a reset next year. But you got to believe they're going to go after arms. They're going to be looking at the right fit, somebody they have control over, somebody that will fit in with this clubhouse because chemistry also played a huge role this season for the Orioles.
And then I feel like it would be easy to dismiss, and there's not an obvious place on the field where you say, hey, here's where we could upgrade, right? Like you're looking at this group and saying for the most part we know what the group is going to be next year, but is there an argument that they really could still try to find a way to add one more big bat into this lineup, one more thumper? And it's tough because there's no obvious place that you say you're upgrading, and you'd have to be moving on from someone in order to do it. But it just sort of felt like, particularly September and into October, they really were one big swinger short of what they needed to be a more complete offense.
Yeah, they lost a couple pieces offensively, and I'm not saying through injury, just fatigue. I think caught up with some guys. Cedric Mullins was really, unfortunately, non-existent that last month of the season. And some other guys kind of fought their way through. Listen, it's hard. It's a grueling year. Every team had to kind of go through that, and you hope a couple guys get hot right at the right times. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough, right, for the Orioles. But yeah, a bigger bat could have, I think proved well. But I thought their offense was pretty good, and I think they have really good depth in the minor leagues, and I think that's probably the most intriguing thing with the number of players that now have had experience at the major league level, and which is quite a few that were down in the minor leagues, and guys are now going to get healthier. Does this open them up for more possible trade opportunities, right? Or does this open them up to have a new look outfield next year? Because every outfielder we have right now is going to get a pretty substantial pay grade, I think, next year. So, or do they move them? And now do we have Kauser and Erstad and another young outfielder out there? So never know. There are some fun, I think, questions, and how we all put it together is the fun part about it. But ultimately, it's up to Elias, and I hope, and I'm sure he does have a master plan. And to be honest with you, I think this year probably surprised him more than anybody. The success that the Orioles had. I don't think in his mind of minds that he built this team to hoist the trophy this year. I think it probably set up for next year or the year after that. So it'll be fun to see how he builds off what he created this season.
Much more fun to have these conversations after 101 win seasons. As disappointing as the last few days are, way more pleasant to be talking about this as we move into an off season than a lot of the conversations we've had over the years, Mike. Way more pleasant to be doing this. All right.
Yeah.
Give me a rundown what we can plug for you. We'll be checking in from time to time during the course of the off season. So. But it might be a couple weeks before we do, so let's get a rundown. What all can we plug for you?
Yeah, well, this weekend is going to be a blast because Jose Canseco, my former teammate, author and, a somewhat controversial player. Yeah, Jose Canseco's coming in town with the Baseball Warehouse. We're going to have a home run derby event. He's going to put on a clinic as well. Check it out at thebaseballwarehouse.com. The League of Dreams continues to do wonderful things. Leagueofdreams.com to see our next event. It's coming up in November up at Catonsville Community College. We're excited about that. So all kinds of fun things on the horizon, and staying busy, out of trouble. And even though the Orioles aren't going to be in the postseason run, I'm still going to enjoy watching the rest of this postseason because it's been a lot of fun, and I don't want baseball to end right now.
The Phillies-Braves series is crazy, man. That is
I know, I agree.
That is bonkers, dude.
Yep.
Mike, I truly always appreciate you, and this goes back years upon years now, decades at this point. You've always been good to us, and I always love our conversations. We will be in touch, that's a promise, and appreciate you doing this morning as always.
Well, sounds good, and I'll hold you to that. I appreciate that.
Sounds good,
Thanks
brother.
for having me.
Mike Bordick with us here on GCR. I'm going to need time. Part of it is we're just coming off, the disappointment of thinking that this was going to be a deep playoff run, and there was no run whatsoever. So I'm going to need time to think about what my focus is. A lot of people are bringing up, when we talk about, like, Santander, we're talking about guys that arbitration could be in the $10 million range, and the Orioles don't like doing that. So I'd be banking on them moving at least one outfielder. Somebody who was trying to cheat and Would You Rather Wednesday was like, well, for me it would be Hayes. I didn't ask that. And almost purposely I left Hayes out of the equation because I do feel like Hayes is sort of the, I don't know why, because he's a good baseball player, but he doesn't do
Great defender.
He is a great defender, but at a position that you don't know that you need a great defender at.
At Camden Yards,
I hear the argument, but somebody would also say, well, you've got more room for an average defender to track down a ball. I would agree that
you need
somebody who can cover that ground. I don't think you're running Anthony Santander out to left field ever again. I don't think that. As much as his arm is quality and he's not,
his glove is pretty quality.
He's not a bad defender at all. I just don't think he covers the ground anymore that you need to have covered from a left fielder. So it's an interesting conversation, right? And by the way, Hayes played a solid center field when Mullins was out. He just isn't a high level. He isn't a game changing defensive center fielder. He's a very good defensive left fielder. He was a capable defensive center fielder. But they're all in the equation. This obviously extends far beyond Would You Rather Wednesday. The Orioles have to make, to the point, multiple decisions because, and it's a good problem to have all of these guys that are all major league ready. The easy thing for us to say is, well, you've got to trade Norby and Ortiz. You have no choice any longer. You should have done it at the deadline, right? You should have aimed higher for starting pitching and been willing to pull the trigger by using higher quality prospects in order to get it done. And they might say back to you, we tried. It just didn't work. But at some point, you're going to have to. You can't just leave this sitting around forever and say, well, maybe there's an injury next year and we'll feel better about ourselves. If you want to hold on to one of them as injury insurance or as, a rotational piece, that's all well and good. But both of them can't be here and not playing at the major league level. That you're shooting yourself in the foot. And then at that point, you'd be moving on from Mateo or Arias, and that's not the end of the world to me, but I do think that Mateo has a role. I think he proved he can hit left-handers good enough that he can be a utility player that can play against left-handed pitching and can still offer you something on the back end as a pinch runner and defensive replacement. So I don't think you need it to be Ortiz or Norby. I think.
Did they ever put Mateo in the outfield this year?
They tried.
Once, right?
Yeah, they tried
at the end of games.
Yeah. And by the way, that goes into the equation. If in an emergency you were to lose somebody, you needed somebody to run around. Mateo, you feel like could do it if you had to. You wouldn't want him to be for a week your backup center fielder, but in an emergency you could do it. But that's easy to say that. It's not easy to say you're definitively moving on from Cedric Mullins because Colton Cowser is your center fielder moving forward. You like things about Colton Cowser, but for a team that wants to win next year, do we have
It's hard to...
It's way easier to do if you were a bad baseball team. If you were a bad baseball team, if this was 2 years ago and Colton Cowser was ready and Cedric Mullins was coming off a disappointing stretch at the end of the season, it's way easier to say next year Colton Cowser is the center fielder. But you're good. And you know that part of the reason why you were good was because Cedric Mullins played brilliant outfield defense for you. Brilliant. So
is there any argument what the D-backs did with Corbin Carroll kind of I guess he came up at the end of last year, right? And he showed
Yeah,
they
went ahead
Corbin,
and paid him.
They
right.
went ahead and paid
Correct.
him.
They went ahead and paid him.
They almost, I don't know, felt like they did kind of go all in and with this rookie as kind of the leader of the team, and it did pay off big time.
But it's a little bit different. Everybody would say that's what you should have done with Gunnar Henderson, right? You had that opportunity. You had your Corbin Carroll. I don't think Colton Cowser is Corbin Carroll. Now maybe he, God, that would be manna from heaven, glory be, right? But in the moment, it's tough. Also, I don't think the Diamondbacks had reason to think they were going to be this good.
Yeah.
Could they thought they were ready?
Dodgers, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the Diamondbacks were there, and that made it easier to do. The Orioles are here. They won 101 games. It's tough to not be confident that you're progressing with the decisions that you make, that there be any danger that you regress at all. That's tough to do. You might have to do it, and eventually you're going to have to do it somewhere. You can't just bring back everybody unless you're committing to these guys long term. You can't just have them all. Somebody's going to have to go. I lean towards Santander being the guy that fetches you the best prospects of it. Maybe Hayes is that guy. I don't know. It's very tough, man. But somebody's going to have to go.
How old is Mullins? He's 30?
29, 28. 28, right? Didn't we figure that out? He's 28.
Santander's 28. He turns 29 in a week.
Cedric Mullins is 29. I guess he must have he turned 29 in 10 days ago.
They're all 28. Austin Hayes is 28. Mullins just turned 29.
So it doesn't really help you in this.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it easy. It doesn't. Mike's point was like, could they all be gone? Well, I don't think they're all going to be gone. But I get what he's saying.
If it makes the team better, it's like...
Right? Like, if next year you say, well, we want Kjerstad, Kauser, and, whoever else. Maybe in your world, you're like, we're going to solve our, Mayo O'Hearn problem Mountcastle problem by having left field be whoever's not playing first base that day. Or it's one of these is the area where you see an opportunity to upgrade. Like one of these is we're going to sign Cody Bellinger and let him be our left fielder moving forward. So all of a sudden you've got an outfield of Kauser, Kjerstad, and Bellinger, and you move on from all of them. Now I don't think that's
extremely left-hitting.
I mean, you can't really do that. I understand you really can't do that. Like that's not an option. But you get what I'm trying to say. Like I get what Mike's saying is that it might look drastically different. You're going to have to do something. You can't just continue to spin wheels here. You got to figure out what you're committed to, who you think is a part of this, and who you think is more helpful to you to acquire assets. And if you think that both Santander and Hayes can get you better assets, then maybe you're moving both of them this offseason. And now you got spots, and you need to upgrade, right? Like, you do have to do all of these things at once. But it's complicated, man. It is not – there are not easy decisions to be made. Would have been nice if they had won the World Series. And who cares what they do at that point?
Better get back.
God. You want to tell everybody what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
Yeah. Second chance drawing drum that they got. So if luck wasn't on your side on a recent
bet.
So
you bet the Orioles to win the series.
No, you bet the Orioles to win the series, win the World Series, win a little bit more. Who knows? Over at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, they have the answer. You can turn those losses into winning opportunities with the second chance to win promotion between now and January 4th, 2024. All Live Casino and Hotel Maryland Rewards members will be able to enter their losing bet slips into the second chance to win drum, and 2 nights a week, 20 different winners will be chosen. Prizes ranging from Live Casino and Hotel Maryland apparel, sports and social, ultimate happy hour prizes, and cash and free play worth up to $500. Drawings will be held every Thursday and Monday over at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino in Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21 to play. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Tidbit and Tubular next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Come for a game, stay for everything else. Book an unforgettable fall getaway in Charm City. Enjoy only in Baltimore festivals, mouthwatering eats, and endless entertainment. Treat yourself to a staycation in the heart of downtown, or try one of the city's many charming neighborhood hotels. And don't miss out on packages for free parking, breakfast, and more. Plan your stay at baltimore.org/hotels.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The Maryland Five-Star returns to iconic Fair Hill October 19th to 22nd, marking the next chapter in Maryland's equestrian tradition. Best described as the triathlon of horse eventing, you won't want to miss this thrilling sport. Enjoy a fall festival with local fare, retail vendors, and tons of family fun. Come for the event and stay for the experience in Cecil County, home to the Chesapeake Bay waterfront with vibrant small towns and accommodations to suit every desire. It's the place to be in October. Visit MarylandFivestar.us for tickets.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of PressBox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, October 17th at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. It's brought to you by Superbook Sports and AJ Michaels, and if you or a loved one have a gambling problem, visit helpmygamblingproblem.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? AJ Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Make sure you're tuned in every Tuesday for PressBox fantasy football analyst Joe Serpico to get you ready for your Waiver Wire Wednesday, brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. And if you have other fantasies you want fulfilled, subscribe to Glenn and Jeremy Kahn's OnlyFans page at... Wait, are people supposed to know about that?
Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Stan the Fan Charles will be chatting with Tyson Rementer, who is the cross-country course builder for the Maryland Five-Star, which is just around the corner. You won't want to miss that. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports to watch it live. If you miss it live, you can see it at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan the Fan Charles and Tyson Rementer, cross-country course builder for the Maryland Five-Star at Fair Hill. Still going to be a great fall. I know we're all disappointed. I know we're all bummed, but still a lot going on. It's just tough. It's very, very tough right now to be thinking about anything other than the disappointment. And it's like, it's just because it ends so quickly. Like, we're all ramped up. We'd all spent our money on playoff tickets. I canceled a trip to Las Vegas.
That's on you, pal.
No, it's not. It's on the Orioles.
Oh, okay. All right.
They screwed it all up.
It's on the Orioles.
Yeah, Aaron Oster was like, "Yeah, that's that. You know, that's the reason why the Orioles lost, right?" I'm like, "Go F yourself,
despite
guy.
you.
Go F yourself." All right, let's go ahead and get a tidbit. Is there anything that we needed to cover? I mean, I don't even know what else happened in the world of sports. We've
The
been
Ravens
so
are practicing in London.
I saw that they held a team meeting yesterday. Apparently, they held a 45-minute team meeting to discuss things. I had no idea how to react to that.
Good.
Hopefully. It means something, but we don't have any data on whether team meetings ever lead to anything. So all we know is that they did it. They held a team meeting after what happened against the Steelers, and they got to work. I do kind of appreciate how honest John Harbaugh has been about, like, dude, we are doing everything we're doing with this London trip because of what happened the last time. Just not even trying to hide it. Like, everything was such a disaster the last time that we just said, whatever we did the last time, do the opposite this time. They're eating dinner for breakfast. You know, like we're doing. I don't think they're doing that. But I kind of appreciate it because it's sort of what we would feel in those situations as humans. Like, well, the last time we tried this, it was an unmitigated disaster. So everything different. And that's what the Baltimore Ravens are doing in London this week as they get ready for the Titans. All right, Tidbit is brought to you today by the Baltimore County Police Department coming up Saturday, October 28th. Safe opportunity for you to bring your kids out, get some candy, get them in their costumes, have fun, trunk or treat, hosted by the Baltimore County Police Department at the Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson. And on top of that, if you've been thinking about your dead-end path within your own career, you wanted a change, the Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Competitive salaries, great signing bonuses. Maybe you know a kid who has struggled out of high school or out of college to launch, doesn't have a direction. Bring him out to this event. It's not formal. It's relaxed environment. Ask questions. If you know that you want to consider that path, then you can do everything right there. Written test, agility test, application process, all of it. But if you just have questions, it's a great opportunity for you to get those questions answered about what things might look like for you if you join the Baltimore County Police Department. It's Saturday, October 28th, Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson. Hiring event and trunk or treat with the Baltimore County Police Department. Find out more, joinbaltimorecountypd.com. Call 410-887-5542.
The American League East, they went 0-7 in the postseason this
I also
year.
hadn't thought about what the Orioles losing streak now is in playoff games,
Yeah.
because you have to add in the fact that they lost in 16 and they got swept in 14.
So it's 8.
7. Wait, no, yes, 8. Sorry, yes, 8 straight losses in the postseason for the Orioles.
Yes, that better not be a thing.
And did the AL East also not win a game in last year's postseason? Did I see that that maybe they've lost? Or did somebody get swept last year? No, I
think somebody won, because the stat I have here, according to ESPN Stats and Info, the last time
the Yankees
American
got
League
swept by the Astros. So the AL East is 0 for their last 11.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
Because the Yankees did win the series against Cleveland.
Right, okay.
But then they turned around and got swept in the ALCS by the Astros. So the AL East is 0 for their last 11 postseason games. Yeah, not great.
The last time the American League East was swept in a postseason altogether was 1990, when the Red Sox were the only team that made the playoffs.
In 90 they just went right to the LCS.
0-7. That mark is the worst by any division in a single postseason. 7 losses
not
without
surprising.
a win.
Again,
in
remember
the LCS era.
the division series didn't start until like 95. I want to say was the first
94,
division
95,
series.
I think it was.
Well, 94 there was no playoffs because they had a
that's
strike.
right.
So I think it was 95.
Yeah. The best record by a 5-team MLB division in history is the American League East this season. They went 449 and 361, 554 winning percentage as a division. Most losses without a win by
and
a
with an
single
unbalanced
division.
schedule. So they weren't just beating each other up.
Yeah.
They were beating up the other divisions.
Which I guess is the reason why they were so.
Yeah.
So yeah, American League East 0-7, worst that we've ever seen, really, by one division in playoff history. The Orioles, this came from Sarah Langs and Jason Stark on Twitter. The Orioles, they went the entire season without getting swept, obviously, and then they get back to October.
By the way, that we will still be talking about that next year, because they will not count a postseason sweep as a series sweep. They will. It'll still be discussed, despite the fact they were swept in a postseason series.
Only one other team has ever done that, gone the entire regular season without getting swept. It was the. You saw this?
Giants? Is that who it was?
No, it wasn't the Giants.
Who was it? I did see it. I don't remember.
The 1998 Padres,
who
were managed by
Bruce Bochy. Right,
Bochy.
that's exactly what it was. And then they lost to the Yankees in the World Series. They were swept.
Christian Javier of the Astros will move on to other teams are still playing in the postseason.
Yep.
Christian Javier, he appears to be just as good as Nathan Eovaldi in his 3.
Are you gonna need a break? Like, do you need to? I feel like I am not excited about the idea of watching baseball today. Like,
today I don't think. Today I don't really.
I think that I'll be back.
I mean,
but
I'll turn it on.
And that's the thing too. There's not really another option. Although I'll be on the radio tonight, so I imagine it'll be on the TVs in the studio.
Yeah.
I would
you can tell Caleb just turn it off.
Well, in my world, no joke. If I was just at home, I would have the WNBA final game on. That's what I would spend my time with tonight. It'd be a nice palate cleanser. I'd be
some midweek football.
I don't have any investment in it because there's nobody on either like Vegas or New York that I like them as players. You know what I mean? Like I love Kelsey Plum as a player is great. Obviously, Asia Wilson, Jesus Christ. I mean, she's ridiculous. Jackie Young's been a stud. Candace Parker. You know, the funny thing is I've always dug Candace Parker. I've always loved Candace Parker, but she's not playing. And then what's-her-face got hurt, so I have nobody to root for in New York. Alyssa Thomas, right? Like, I have no one to...
Yeah. She was on Connecticut.
It was Connecticut. Who was in New York then? That's right. Alyssa Thomas was Connecticut. Who am I thinking of? Who was on New York?
Ionescu's on New York, right?
She is, yes.
But she's not hurt.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not paying close. This is on me because I've been paying close attention to baseball.
Brianna Stewart's on
Brianna
New
Stewart
York.
for sure is in New York, and is Vandersloot there?
Yes, Vandersloot is.
Yeah,
there.
Courtney Vandersloot's
She's been
there.
waiting forever.
Dude, Courtney Vandersloot kicks ass too.
Yeah.
Weren't she and Parker together in Chicago? Like when they won the title? It's nuts. Look, man, I would choose to watch that tonight. Like that would be my. If I wasn't doing a show and I was just at home and I could pick whatever I was going to watch, I would choose to watch the WNBA Finals just to give myself a day to not think about baseball. And then I'll get back to baseball this weekend.
Well, Christian Javier of the Astros has now allowed 1 hit or fewer in each of his first 3 career postseason starts. No other pitcher in baseball history has had 3 such starts over any 3-game span in their playoff career, and he's done this to the start of his. So Christian Javier seems to be built for the postseason so far. Carlos Correa, this is my tidbit now. Carlos Correa he didn't have an RBI yesterday, but on when was it? I guess Sunday night when they played, he had 4 RBIs. I think that moved him into 3rd all-time postseason RBIs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually a little surprising.
Can you name all the guys? Let's do all the guys with 50 RBIs or more.
50.
Correa is at 63. There are 2 with more than him.
Okay.
And I'm looking for the top 1, 2, 3, 4,
I'll
5,
say
6, 7, 8.
I'll say Ortiz.
Ortiz is in the top 8 here. 61. He is one of the fellas that Correa passed.
I can't believe Carlos Correa has more postseason RBI than
everyone.
Man, how about because you would think they have to be modern just because the number of playoff games.
That would be a fair assumption.
Okay. So the thing is, you don't think of just because opportunity. I'll say Jeter.
Jeter is in fact in the top 8.
Yeah.
Yes, he had 61 as well. He's tied with Ortiz, so Correa passed both of them.
Bernie Williams.
Bernie Williams is number 1.
Shut up. Is he really?
Yes. 80 postseason RBIs for Bernie Williams.
No S.
All time.
A lot of opportunities, but damn, I would have not guessed that. Jesus. There's a musical concept called Playing for Change. It's this like charity where they go get like street musicians and famous musicians to perform like songs together, and they make videos about it. And they have a version of Everyday People by Sly and the Family Stone, which, as you learned from our show that we did with Spiro, is one of my favorite songs of all time. And it's got like Jack Johnson and Keb Mo and Yo-Yo Ma is involved, and Trombone Shorty is in it, and all these. And randomly they cut, and there's just Bernie Williams playing the electric guitar at one point. And I just don't hate. Bernie came on the show once, and I was like, I should hate you, but I don't hate you the way that I hate other Yankees of that era. I don't know why. Like, I guess because he just wasn't shoved in our face as much as some of the other guys were from that era. I just don't hate Bernie Williams.
He was a good player, but
he
it was like...
Yeah, but they didn't treat him like he was more than he was. Like, they didn't laughably make him a first ballot Hall of Famer or, you know, like Derek Jeter was a great player that gets treated like he's the greatest baseball player of all time. And the disparity between the reality of Derek Jeter and the way he was treated makes us hate him. Like, there's no way around it. Like, if they would just talk about Derek Jeter as the player that they did a 7-part documentary about him.
Like he was Michael Jordan.
Like, Derek Jeter's not even in the top 5 players of his era. He was a hell of a player, a deserving Hall of Famer. But he was an average defensive player with no power. He was kind of Dustin Pedroia. Like, good player. I mean, if Dustin Pedroia had a longer career, right? You know what I mean? Like, if Dustin Pedroia played another few years, he's a better hitter than Dustin Pedroia, but not like a wildly better hitter than Dustin Pedroia. But they treat Derek Jeter like he's the greatest baseball player of a generation. And it's insanity. Like, it's just so separated from reality that you're forced to hate him. It's not his fault that that's how he was treated, but, like, it's the way that you feel about that. I was talking about this with Rita last night because she's like, some of this Dak Prescott stuff feels personal. I'm like, you might be right, but it also feels like this is what happens when you force mid upon us. When you just say you have to watch this all the time and everyone knows it's mid. Like, you're going to get this reaction when you force something on me. That's the way the Jeter thing was. But Bernie Williams was never like that. Like, they just treated him like a good baseball player, which is what he was. And so I don't hate him the way that I hate other Yankees. God, I got to get back to this list. We're getting late. Pedroia.
Pedroia is not on the list. Not sure.
How about Manny being Manny?
No. Oh, yes.
Okay.
When you said Manny, I
you thought
Machado?
No.
First.
Manny Ramirez.
Manny Ramirez is second.
Oh, wow.
78. He is 2 behind Bernie Williams. So 15 is how many Correa's behind. That's until he gets close to the...
Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones is not in the top 8 here. Okay. Where's Chipper Jones at? I thought I saw him. Oh, yeah, there. 47. He is just outside.
Pujols.
Pujols is in the top 8. 54 career RBIs.
So I've got...
Or postseason RBIs.
I've got 5. How many do I need to get? 10?
8. You have 6 because I gave you Correa.
Okay,
so we have 2 more.
Is it another Yankee?
Yes.
It's another... Jesus Christ. Alex Rodriguez?
Sorry, no, it's not.
It's not another Yankee.
Yeah, why did I think he was a Yankee?
Is it another Red Sox?
No.
Is it a Brave?
Yes.
Brave. Fred McGriff.
Not Fred McGriff.
Gary Sheffield.
Not Gary Sheffield.
David Justice.
David Justice. Is in the
he was
top
briefly
8
a Yankee, too, so...
Okay,
I don't know if that's who you're thinking of.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. You have 1 season.
Is it another Brave?
No.
A Cardinal.
Mm-mm.
A Giant.
Mm-mm.
A Dodger.
Mm.
A Cub?
Mm.
Astro?
Astro.
Current Astro?
Current Astro.
Altuve?
Altuve
Yeah.
has 50 RBIs. He is 8th on this list. Bregman has 49. He's 9th.
All right, so he'll be the next to join the list.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Tidbit was also brought to you today by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Tubular, brought to you by Guilford Hall Brewery. Ravens fans, you ready for the biggest game day party in Baltimore? Join us at Guilford Hall Brewery Sunday, October 15th, this Sunday, for the official Ravens London game watch party. Getting started early with live music, bottomless mimosas, unlimited Guilford beer, Dunkin' coffee, and signature cocktails, plus games, Kid Zone, appearances from special guests, including Ravens legend Jimmy Smith, the Ravens cheerleaders, the Marching Ravens Band, and Poe. Going to be an awesome day. Doors open at 8 a.m., so rally your flock, and we will see you at Guilford Hall. The event is free to the public. All-you-can-drink wristbands available for purchase. Get to guilfordhall.com for more information. That's going to be an awesome day. It really is going to be a lot of fun. That's the place to be for Sunday morning. All right, here's what's coming up tonight, Totally Tubular. As I mentioned, WNBA Finals, Game 2. I'm down, even if I forget who plays for who. My fault. Sorry, Alyssa Thomas. Love you. New York Liberty, Las Vegas Aces, Game 2, 9 o'clock. Oh, you know what? I'll be done with the radio show then. I can still watch that tonight. I like that. It's on ESPN. The Braves, have they announced the starter yet for tonight? They were doing a weird bit where they didn't announce it tomorrow. We know Aaron Nola is going for the Phillies. That's the early game on TBS, 5 o'clock, Game 3 of that series. And then the Diamondbacks will try.
I'm seeing Bryce Elder.
But is that official or is that just with Fangraphs?
Not. It's the MLB app is telling me.
Okay, then that
Bryce
probably
Elder,
means
yeah,
that probably means that they made it announced. So that'll be who starts for the Braves tonight against Aaron Nola. Yeah, indeed, it is official. Bryce Elder. Dodgers Diamondbacks Game 3 at 9. Lance Lynn and Brandon Pfaadt or I don't know.
Pfaadt.
We gotta watch some Diamondbacks and figure out what that guy's name is. We're gonna have to
in the World Series. We will. Yeah.
Sure. Fox Sports 1 for Game 4 as the Astros try to close out the Twins. 7 o'clock, Jose Urquidy and Joe Ryan. Everything else, just go to GlennClarkRadio.com. Find it there. Anything non-sports-wise?
Yeah, quite a bit, actually, if you're trying to if you don't want to watch football. Of course, Survivor on CBS.
You mean baseball.
Yeah, baseball. Yeah. It is the NFL.
I don't know why anybody would be all that angry about UTEP and Florida International. I refuse. I'll never watch FIU ever again.
I need a break. It is the NFL edition of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. Jared Allen, Marcellus Wiley, and Rashad Jennings.
Okay.
Will be on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
They can't even get like
Reba's
Jared
gonna be on
Allen's
Seth
a
Meyers.
star.
Yeah.
They can't even get like star players to do Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
It is the season 14 is the series finale of Archer on FXX.
Yeah.
At 10.
Sad.
On Netflix, it is this documentary that I'm going to watch. It's Big Vape, The Rise and Fall of Juul.
Okay.
Documentary series. I mean, this
You're gonna hit your vape as you do it, or
no? It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see though.
That's for you.
Because this was my when I was in high school, everyone had a Juul and an Apple TV Messi Meets America series premiere. I think it's supposed to like follow like Messi's
arrival,
American, with Miami.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
that it?
Yeah,
Very
that is
good.
it.
Tubular was also brought to you today by Superbook. If you are thinking about betting anything tonight, let me just pull up them odds for this evening really quickly. For baseball been very, very good to me. The Braves, slight favorites. Wow. That's weird.
The Phillies.
No, sorry.
Yes, the Phillies.
Yeah, I read. I thought that said plus 126 on the other side. It is minus 126. My fault. The Phillies are slight favorites. The only road team that's favored is the Dodgers. The Dodgers are slight favorites against the Diamondbacks, despite having lost. I get it though. Like they're still looking at the rosters and saying, but
were the Orioles? Were they dogs?
At home? They were dogs.
They
Yeah,
were dogs last night.
last night. 100%. They were dogs last night. The Twins are favored at home to force a game 5. You like any of those? Go to superbook.com, the Superbook app. Use the code GlennClark23 when you sign up. Take advantage of up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose with Superbook. Thanks today to Drew Forrester. Thanks to Morgan Cox. Thanks to Mike Bordick. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Derek Mason will join us tomorrow now.
Yes, he will.
Kenny Albert's going to join us tomorrow. He's got a new book out. I've been reading it. If you were a Baltimore Skipjacks fan, this is the book for you, baby.
I have to tell Bruce
That's
Cunningham. Bruce Cunningham.
Does he love the Skipjacks?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever knew that about him. Kenny Albert got his start in broadcasting with the Baltimore Skipjacks, and there's some great stories in there about his time with them and stuff and things. We'll do picks, obviously, with KZ.
Oh, Derek Rackley will join us.
Derek Rackley,
From
who's
Westwood
calling Ravens Titans for Westwood 1, will join us as well. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Guilford Hall Brewery, Live Casino and Hotel, the Maryland 5-Star, A.J. Michaels, the Baltimore County Police Department, Royal Farms, Costa Sin, Superbook Sports, Harford County, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday night. Go whoever. Duke sucks.